And hello, Internet, and welcome to Neon Souls. I think we're live. I think people can hear us. Welcome to our, as we said just before we went live, tech rehearsal / session 0 for this wonderful new game that we're going to be doing here today. Hopefully you all can hear me. Please let me know if anything needs to be adjusted or otherwise. So, hi everyone. I'm Sean. I'm going to be running this game. I'm going to hit our channel announcements and do everything real quick, and then I'm going to have these fools introduce themselves, and we're going to talk about what we're doing here today, because we're going to be playing the Sprawl, cyberpunk action mission-based game, and I will get into all of that in a short moment. So, what do we have going on here at GGK over the next week or so? Tomorrow we have the next installment of Saturday Night's almost said Thunderball again. It's going to take me like a year to not say that anymore. Saturday Night's Apocalypse. We're playing the Princes of the Apocalypse campaign setting set in a post-apocalyptic version of the Sword Coast. I'm running that. It's D&D 5th edition, and it's at 3 o'clock. So come hang out with us there. On Sunday, we'll have the next session of Slang 101, which is Savannah's Monster of the Week game. Play that at 4 o'clock. We're all sorts of drama going on in that game. Spoiler alert, someone may die. We'll see. On Tuesday, we will have the next session of Eos, our 5th edition D&D game that Barry runs, set in a homebrew setting. That's at 7 o'clock Eastern time. We may have a new surprise for you there as well, but I don't think that's for me to say. And then on Thursday of this week, we'll be back for Elegant Suffering, our Good Society game. Sid runs that. It is a joy, and that is at 8 o'clock Eastern time, and we're currently working on the wiki right now, so I've heard down the grapevine, so keep an eye out for that soon.
We is a strong word.
Well, one of us. We, in a very general, we are all one hive mind here at GGK sense.
Yeah, just one mind.
Yeah.
It's all good.
So yeah, that's everything that's going on the channel right now. Oh boy, there was something that I was gonna announce too. We have an updated website that I'm gonna go ahead and plug right now, but I think we're gonna put it up on we're gonna update everything very soon. So our old website is now obsolete. Don't click on it anymore. Don't go there. It's terrible. No, it's fine. But it's not. It's very out of date. Our new website, ggk.crd.co, is where you can keep up to date on all of our happenings right now. And you can find all of our good stuff there. I think that's it. I'm going to check on some tech stuff behind the scenes while I let these people introduce themselves. Starting up first with GB. Tell the people who you are and where they can find you.
Graybeard at Graybeard Tavern, and you can find me on the Twitters and everywhere, including I still may have a website floating around out there, but it's way out of date also. We're going through announcements.
Yeah. Anything you've got going on over the week,
Okay.
anything that's not related to this game specifically.
All right. So Sunday morning, you can see me on my own channel playing Darkest Dungeon. We're in the last of the modules, and I play with all kinds of crazy toys and have kind of fun with, different stuff. So 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time over there. Then at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, they already announced it, but we play Monster of the Week, and I get to play Rexy, and she's crazy, and it's fun. Other than that, Thursday nights, you can catch me over on Indoor Adventures, and I'll be playing Hoogurk, the Bugbear. He's a himbo, and he really, he's really dumb. Really, really dumb. That's me.
All right. Next on my little list here is Morgan. Welcome. This is your first time on GGK. Thank you for joining us.
It is. It's my first time here. I recently finished my first streamed game ever, so that was really fun. I'm really excited to now be doing a new game. I'm mainly a cosplayer, so you can find me at Imagine Matrix all over the internet. I have a website, I have Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. And I just do cosplay stuff throughout the week. It's slowed down right now because, as you can see, I am moving. But hopefully that'll pick up again in August when we're all settled into our new place.
Awesome. Well, glad you could make time to hang out with us and play with us, despite your busy schedule. Savannah, what? Why are you laughing at me, Savannah?
Just made me laugh.
Just introduce yourself.
She's
to the
been here for
people.
5 minutes and you're already being passive aggressive.
I was being passive aggressive to you, specifically, only you.
Don't embarrass me on the internet. Just kidding. You guys know me. That's impossible. Hi, I'm Savannah. These fools call me Savvy, and you can too. I'm at Savvy Seaworth on Twitter, which is where I exist when I'm not on Twitch. I am in all of the shows that Sean mentioned. I play in AOS, play in Elegant Suffering, and I play in Saturday Nights, and then I play in this, and then I run Slang 101 every Sunday. So mostly I just exist on the internet. And I guess I'll go ahead and say it. It's a couple weeks out, but starting the first week of August, I'm going to be back on Encounter Roleplay running Apocalypse World. It's going to be great. It's going to be Diesel Punk inspired. So think your Fallouts, your Bioshocks, I don't know any other ones off the top of my head, but you guys know what those are. It's going to be like that, but a tabletop game, Apocalypse World. That's going to be on Friday afternoons starting in August and going through September. It's going to be awesome. That's all I'm doing, except there is one more channel announcement that Sean forgot.
I'm going to hit that at the end because I just remembered
Okay.
it.
You got it. That's me.
And last but most certainly not least, Sid.
Hi, I'm Christina Sid. You can find me on the Twitters at Greek Sid. A lot of I am a Game Nights exclusive still, which is wonderful. So yeah, I'm gonna be here on Fridays. I'm on Slang 101 on Sundays, and I run Thursdays the Elegant Suffering. And yes, we are working on the wiki, which is desperately needed. The more and more I go over previous episodes, so. Yeah, it looks lovely. I just have to still add stuff to it. So we'll have more on that soon.
Perfect. And I am Sean the Kraken King. I already said everything I'm doing, but I did miss an announcement. Savannah kindly reminded me of starting in not this Thursday, but the Thursday after that, picking up in the spot that All Myths Are True left off. We are going to be continuing Wild Space, our spacefaring D&D 5th edition game that Ryan ran way back in the day. If you've been with us for a while, we played it about 2 years ago, and unfortunately we had to stop. And we're picking it back up finally, and we're all very excited to see where this picks up. My character died in the last episode of the last campaign, so that's where we are, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And you can come and watch at 8:00 on Thursday, and I believe the date of that is the 23rd of July is when we are going to be beginning. So yeah, that's it for announcements.
We're back, baby.
We're back. All right. You guys ready to talk about this game? See what's going on? Okay. So, like I said at the top of the stream, this is our session 0. So, we're not going to be actually playing today. We're just going to be talking about the game. We're playing the Sprawl, which is a cyberpunk mission-based tabletop game. And it sort of embodies everything cyberpunk that you're going to see here in a minute. Falls into a lot of the classics from Blade Runner to Johnny Mnemonic and some more newer stuff like Altered Carbon. So if you like any of that, you're probably going to enjoy some aspect of this game. But a lot of what we're going to do today as a group is talk about what we want out of the game, because I have nothing prepared. I don't have a location. I don't have an agenda. I want that totally based on what you guys want to do, because in the Sprawl, more so than I think most other Powered by the Apocalypse games, I'm just a player at the table with you guys. Like, I'm not, it says MC on my name card, but I'm not really like running things as much as I would in a typical game, because so much of that is out in the open this time. The players can see this, and you at home, well, I'll pop over to that because we've got production value. You at home can see we've got our clocks that we're going to be using to track things in the game. There's a lot of action stuff. None of the players understand, as far as I know, understand what clocks are. I barely understand how the clocks work. We're going to work on all that, but these are sort of elements of like Apocalypse World that have been brought to the forefront, where the players kind of control them a little bit more. They can control the action. They see where things are going. They have a lot more autonomy to make decisions and drive the story forward. So more so than most other games that you would run with the system. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Looking forward to see what you guys come up with. And then my sort of role at the table is to play every other character that might possibly come up and push some agenda stuff. So my agenda for today, to what we're going to do, we're going to create our setting. We are going to create the most important characters that exist within that setting, which are not you guys. They're the corporations that run the whatever it is, the city, the world, whatever it is that we're occupying. Then we're creating you guys, the good for nothings that do all the heavy lifting. And then we are going to figure out relationships between your characters, tie in a lot of that. We'll build your characters on stream. And then we're going to kind of, assuming we have time left over, I want to talk a little bit about like how missions work, how those clock thingies that we're looking at work, and any other questions I want to go over. Sound good? Cool. And I can't promise that I can answer every question that's come up because I've never run this system before, but I'm going to write them down and I'm going to look them up over the next week. If anything, if there's anything I can't answer off the top of my head. So, all right. So this is the part of the game where I'm going to start asking you guys questions and we're going to start actually talking as a group about things. Cause first thing I want to do is figure out where we are playing. Like what this city is going to look like, because I'd like for it to be something akin to a city, smaller. We're not traveling the world. We're not traveling between planets, because that's not really cyberpunk. But we can do a bunch of different things. I'm going to throw some things that is some inspiration out there at you guys so you guys can think about it. And then we can start talking about it as a group. We talk about whether or not this is going to be based on like a real place. Is this going to be planet Earth? Is this going to be a city like New York or Tokyo or Cairo or something like that, where we're actually taking a real city and we are fast forwarding a few hundred years? We could make up a city completely from scratch, whatever we want. It could still be Earth. It could be another planet. We could do like Mars or the moon or something and just make up our own city there. There are pros and cons to each, because if we have an existing city, we have landmarks we can pull from, and then kind of fill in gaps. If it's someplace we make up, it can be whatever we want, and our imagination is our only bounds. And then the other question that we're going to have to answer is how much of this are we going to do, like get into like the space travel aspect of cyberpunk. And I put that at the front because that's going to kind of inform some of the things that we're going to be doing and talking about in the corporations we're creating. Because cyberpunk isn't so much about a lot of space exploration. We're not going to have aliens. This isn't going to be like Mass Effect. We're not going to be dealing with like Alien style Alien the movie style, like outbreaks and fighting off things and stuff like that. It's not really what the system is. But space travel is a thing, and we could even be in like a space station if you guys really wanted to be. But the game by and large is going to happen within one location. So with all that in mind, what are your guys' thoughts on that? Any preferences? Anything jump out in anyone?
I prefer West Coast if we're going to be on Earth. I imagine Sid and I would be just fine with Chicagoland.
I mean, I'm fairly familiar, so.
I think I prefer either West Coast or even down south like Atlanta if we're going to be on Earth.
Yeah.
And not just make up Night City or something.
So that's, I guess, first question, does anyone have any preference regarding like real city versus fabricated city?
I think it would be interesting to have a city that may be real in our world, but like several, 100 years in the future, and maybe has gone through some changes. Maybe like a name has evolved from it. It's not quite the same anymore.
Okay.
But like, has like those landmarks where that would be recognizable to us, but might be cool to have like a new invented name for the city. Like something happened there that caused a change, or combination of two cities, like they both got so big that they just combined into one, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's where the sprawl comes from, actually.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I like that a lot. It's because it's a little off genre, but it does remind me of like Fallout. It's like you have Fallout 4 where you're in Massachusetts, but it's called the Commonwealth.
Yeah. I was
or, like,
thinking
stuff like that.
I was thinking like Big Hero 6, where they call it San Francisco.
Yeah, that's good.
I love it.
Like that kind of naming convention, something like that is the combination of like two different places that may have merged, which would work well on the West Coast, like you were saying, because there's so many cities there.
Uh-huh. Does anyone have any any thoughts, like names jump
Speaking
out,
of
or like
West
combining two
Coast
cities?
now.
Yeah, I'm like pulling this up now.
That's fine.
Coolest cities in the world. West Coast cities. Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun to play with like things that exist now, and it's like, oh, it's there. It's like, but 300 years from now, like, oh, what was that for? And it's completely made up. Like,
And
I can't wait.
I'll throw it out to the chat too. If you have any recommendations, feel free to throw them, and I'll read them off to the players if they're not looking at the chat.
So I'm thinking of like, because there are several cities over there, you have like San Diego, San Francisco, like taking the sand from one of those and then replacing the second half of it with a different city. You have
Yeah.
like, do you know what I mean? Like if you had like, what is any other city?
well,
I was just thinking the one that was in Grand Theft Auto 5 was it San Andreas or
So if
something.
you had like San Andreas, yeah, but so if you took two of them and smashed them together and you had like San Seattle or like
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
San Fran Angeles.
Yes,
San
that
Francisco.
was, yes, that's what I was trying to get to, but
Yeah.
my dyslexic brain couldn't put it together. I
I'm
see
fine
New
with-
Boston and San Fran Tokyo made it into chat.
Yeah.
Thank you, LB.
I can say this because I was born in Boston. We're not doing Boston.
If we want to get, I'm just gonna throw that out there too, and that's not on the West Coast, but Detroit is, I mean, it's pretty much cyberpunk now. So
Yeah.
Oh no! It's not too far off, I guess.
Yeah, I actually so we ran a game called Cyberscape, and I set the location for that in like the ruins of old Detroit too.
the last shadow run I ran.
Yeah.
I did Detroit.
Yeah, but I'm okay. I think West Coast would be something new, something coastal. You don't see a lot of coastal in Cyberpunk because it's a lot of dark and stuff, and we're gonna get into like tone and stuff here in a minute too. But I'm okay if you guys want to deviate a bit and do something like a
What
coastal
about
city.
San Angeles?
San Angeles.
Oh, that's cool.
I like that.
I like that too.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go with that. And we can tweak stuff as we go if you guys decide come up with something better later on. None of this is set in stone, but I like San Angeles.
like it.
Okay, cool. So San Angeles on Earth. So we're dealing with Earth history. We're probably looking like 200 or 300 years in the future, because I'm not gonna call my shot and say 50 years in the future, and then have when this gets made into a movie, have someone tell me how stupid I was.
Hedge your bets,
Yeah. So we're probably gonna say like 2220 in the future, and that's where we're gonna pick this up. And so what we need to talk about next. So broad strokes. Things that have to exist in this game is the dichotomy that exists in all cyberpunk games of the dredge versus the white tower, where you have like everyone existing, like 99.9% of the population exists in the dredge. It's the you're probably poor, you're not able to get by, like you are under the growing weight of the mega corporations and the hyper elite rich that sort of make up and own those corporations, and then the White Tower, that perfect clean utopia that everyone else, like the best of the best, or the best of the best, the rich lucky few make it to. And that's, you guys all work within the dredge, and you're like fighting the power, fight the man, trying to work your way out of it, like almost everyone else in the city is trying to do. So that is going to exist in one way, shape, or form. We can kind of decide how that looks with San Angeles. I know in like Altered Carbon, they had the very literal like floating cities, and they lived in sort of this, like they lived on a cloud in the sky. I forgot what they actually named it in that book, but
Elysium's the same way.
Yeah.
It's,
the big
Halo
earthquake
ring.
finally came. Half of California floated off, and so they just picked it up and they put it in the sky.
Yeah.
I'm down for it.
And we can make it the sky. We could actually, if we're on the coast, we can make it a water divide too, and say that like it broke off. There is like a landmass off the coast that's where the White Tower is. That's where the place to be is. And there are like specks of it throughout, because usually the corporations have their bases of operations scattered throughout the dredge, and they're usually like guarded, well patrolled inside. Like the corporations themselves are like beautiful, and they don't really go through the dredge. They fly in their hover cars to the White Tower where they live, and then back to their corporations where they do their plotting and scheming, because they need to be connected to the dredge, because that's where they get their labor, that's where they get the fixers like you guys that get things done. So I like that. Does anybody have any other any like preferences other than that, doing something along those lines with having the White Tower literally being like the broken off portion of California? That,
as someone who is from California initially, that sounds perfect and exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Yeah. No, I think that's awesome.
Another thing that could happen is the White Tower can literally be above, the Hive City sort of thing, where they just raised everything up and built over, and then raised and built over, and, just kept going up.
Yeah, I like that too. So, sort of coastal, and like they sort of, they had their broken landmass thing, and they built up and they sort of built out as well. So there might be like a docks area that actually like divides it on the lowest level, and then the top levels are these built out sprawling mega structures that sort of loom over the dredge and the bottom city.
Driver needs a boat now.
Ooh, a boat.
Who needs
Driver
a
needs a
boat
boat.
when you can
Driver needs a
fly? We can fly, man.
Hoverboat.
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 We already talked. It's a hover tank. It's a,
hover tank boat.
Yeah,
Hover tank boat.
Vector thrust Panzer, I believe, is the terms they used in the book.
Yeah, we'll get to all that nonsense in a minute. Okay, so we have our kind of dichotomy set up. We kind of know a little bit what this looks like. I'm imagining we don't need to define anything too much. We can pull from structures that exist in this area. We can say, the Golden Gate Bridge is still there, or there's relics of it, or maybe that's part of what has connected the dredge to the White Tower. But we can decide all that as we go. That's all kind of small fry stuff that we'll kind of build as we go, and you guys are welcome to sort of do that, like during the game when there needs to be a location, you're like, oh, I want this to be there, or like, what if it looks like this? That's why I want to leave things open-ended too. Awesome. So we have the setting there. The next most important thing to talk about before we get into the corporations is technology, because that's the biggest part of Cyberpunk is the sort of tech people are using. And one of the biggest questions that I have is, what level of tech are we talking about? Because if you look at like, just slipped my mind, Harrison Ford.
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner, thank you. You think of Blade Runner, it's that 80s technology that is like futurefied, or like Alien, where everything's like tape decks and like cartridges, and you actually have to be connected to things to use them, so everything's sort of wired, and that has sort of influenced a lot of modern day cyberpunk. But you also have shows like the most recent Altered Carbon, when on Netflix, sponsor us, where they where they do like, you know, technologies like magic, and everything's wireless, and you're interfacing with like holograms, and you can connect to anything anywhere at any time. So we need to decide, like, do you guys want some like really old school tech? You want to base it off like kind of the Blade Runner aesthetic, or do you guys want to deal with something very streamlined, futuristic, kind of where we see our actual real world future going, or some amalgamation of the two?
LB is suggesting steampunk in chat. Just saying.
Oh God.
That's a little old tech.
Everything just wet all the time, steam everywhere.
Just everything.
Everything between wet and smeared with coal.
Yeah.
Everything's black and dirty and wet at the same time.
I would use my MC powers to veto that and lean more towards traditional cyberpunk aesthetics for the sake of this game and its technologies.
Very fair.
So
can we ramp it in that space where, you know, the dregs and where we're at the bottom feeders are like, yes, antennae, and bang on the side of the TV to get it to work, and meanwhile, you know, on the island they're walking around with VR. Their reality is their own reality. I mean, like designer reality, you know, where, you know, I might be seeing a goth aesthetic before my eyes, the next person could see it's Hello Kitty, you know, that kind of, I mean, disparity between.
Yeah, I like that, because you could have someone who got their prosthetics from like somewhere in the dredge where it's very wired and clunky, and then someone who has like a very sleek looking prosthetic that like doesn't need, like, is solar powered, and like, you know, like having that disparity too could be interesting as far as like character creation.
I think that's really cool, because then you get into some of the things where like you have, you know, things that the White Tower has versus things that the Dredge has that like serve the same purpose, but the things that the people in the Dredge have all been like cobbled together out of like old shit, you know, because they don't have the like those top tier upgrades. So like having, you know, a VR headset or something like that, but it's all of this like wires and like you know, stuff sticking out and like apart from your last microwave and things like that.
Exactly. Nice.
I dig it.
It's like things that serve the same function but are built out of old technology instead of upgraded to be new technology.
I like that, and I think that works the best for the setting. We'll get into some of the tech that you guys have access to, with your cyberware and stuff, and I think that fits really nicely with some of the things that already work for this game. So very extreme disparity. You guys are all still using Walkmans and VCRs and stuff, and they're all using, you know, iPhone 6000s or whatever.
The occasional Zune.
Yeah. If you're lucky, you get a Zune. If you're lucky, get shanked for a Zune in the Dredge. All right.
Well, I say.
So we have
Zune,
that.
if you're still out there.
Why?
Sponsorship.
Okay, cool. So we've got our technology. We kind of know what that looks like. So let's just jump into the first step in the book to creating, to like beginning play. And that is going to be defining the corporations. It's step 0 in the book. So what we're going to do is, so why corporations are important. I should start with that. The corporations are important because they run everything. They run the government. They own everything. At this point in society, kind of the idea of cyberpunk is the corporations grow, consume. And then they get to a point where they don't have anything left to gain because they already own everything. So the only thing they have left is to take from each other. And that's where you guys come in, because they need people to do that for them. They need people that they can have deniability over, hire, send them out there to do some dirty work against another corporation, try to steal some intel, assassinate a VIP, something like that, so they can work their magic in the ivory tower, everything above board, make the acquisitions they need to continue to grow. So the corporations are going to do everything in this game because they're the people that are going to give you their missions, usually not directly. Usually it's going to be some shadowy figure that comes to you guys and says, you don't know who I am, but I'm going to pay you to do this, and you guys do it. And usually the jobs are going to be against one of these corporations. So the kind of corporations we create are going to define what missions you guys are doing. If you guys create a corporation that does like VR tech and does like virtual entertainment and like SimSense and all this, where you can like live other people's memories and things like that, then you'll have missions related to that. We may have virtual reality missions, and we may have missions where you're trying to steal cybernetic implants from people's heads to get their memories or something like that. If you guys create military factions or some sort of like what am I trying to say, like military contracting companies, to the extreme, then there will be a lot more. If you do missions against them, there's usually going to be like steal a tank or like go
Gun
assassinate.
missions.
Yeah, gun missions, but everything in between. So the type of missions, the type of corporations you create are going to define the missions that we do. So what we're going to do is we're all going to go around, and each one of us is going to create one corporation. And we can kind of workshop stuff if you want. I'm going to go first because that's my job as the MC, and because I thought of one earlier today. And then whoever wants to go next, I saw Sid raising her hand. I'll let you go next. So
We are all paladins of some terrible capitalist god. That's what this feels like to me. It was the
Oh, are
most
you talking
dramatic
about
thing I
like?
could think of.
Are you talking about like all of us like right? Oh, in the game. Oh, never mind. Sorry.
Yeah.
I got confused.
So the one that
What? Capitalism?
What?
What's that?
The one that I came up with is, let me see. So the one I came up with, I'm going to call Omnitrust, which is going to be a insurance conglomerate, which essentially specializes in like high risk life and like cyber tech insurance. They get into like medical stuff. They dabble in like medical and cyberware. So if you are insured through Omnitrust and you lose an arm or a leg or die, they will give you a new body. They'll give you a new arm. They'll give you a new eye. Like that's essentially what they do. So they work in technology, and they work a little bit in they mostly work in insurance, and insuring like the hyper elite, the people that have the most to lose if they're to get hurt. So that is the one that sort of came up to me. If anybody out there doesn't know, I work in insurance, so that sort of spoke to me on a very personal level. So
Y'all are really gonna make me learn how to spell the word conglomerate, huh?
probably. So what I'm going to do is on our corporate clocks here, I'm going to replace the top one with Omnitrust. And boom, there we go. That's our first one. And we'll get into the clocks here in a little bit. All we need to do right now is come up with the names of the corporations. I did not mean to accidentally open iTunes. Please go away. And do that. So
They're
who
listening.
has
Well,
one next?
actually, that leads straight into the corporation that I thought of in the shower today. Apple, Disney, IDIS, lowercase I, capital D-I-S.
Okay.
Why did you let Sid go first? That's really good.
They are big in communications, obviously. They're the big name in SimSense Entertainment. And
Okay.
they are also less well known, sort of the go-to for domestic surveillance.
Okay. All right. So we have IDIS, the literal combination of Apple and Disney, which specializes in. So they are in entertainment.
Yes.
Can't spell. And what virtual media company. So we're talking SimSense.
Mm-hmm.
What were some of the other things you said? As you said, domestic
Digital
surveillance. I heard that.
communication, and then definitely domestic surveillance.
That sounds shady as hell.
Yup.
Cool. I love it. Can't spell surveillance to save my life. There we go. Thank you. Autocorrect. All right. So IDIS. Awesome. Who's got one next? All right, GV.
I'm still working on a name for it, but it's gonna be like Greek gods, so it'll be like something like
Olympus or like.
yeah, no, like Ares, Aegeus or something like that. So basically, it'll be this massive security company. So yeah, Ares Aegeus would be great. I guess that we'll just go with that for now.
Okay, Ares, like Aegis, like the like a shield, like
Yeah,
okay,
Aegeus, like the shield.
yeah,
So,
yeah, gotcha.
And they're just this massive company that is like the corporations hire them to be their police.
Okay, so
so if there's still governments, there might be normal police, but then there's like these guys who do everything from, hey kids, get off the lawn, to, you know, fighting wars if they need to.
okay, so I'm doing military contractor and for rent police force.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. And then the assumption is that they have like the latest like military technology and all that sort of stuff. Do they sell military tech, or they're just like gathering and using it as their own? Like they're so big they don't want to give their tech to anyone else. They're just keeping it so they can enforce the law.
Why don't they be an arms developer too?
Okay.
And then they just were like, we might as well take the whole thing, unless somebody else wanted to do like an arms company.
Yeah, that's actually a good question. Was anybody else thinking about something along those lines? Or okay, let's wrap that all up in one. So I'll do arms developer, military contractor, and for rent police force.
Awesome.
Cyber police force. Because it's got to have a word cyber in there somewhere. Okay, cool. I'm going to add Ares to the... who's next? Who's got one?
I can go.
Yeah.
It's funny that you did an insurance company, because I was thinking of like doing a medical conglomerate company where they like develop like the drugs that the upper class use, but also like that would just be an interesting dynamic between the two. So
yeah, those are very delineated too. I don't think they need to be wrapped up into one. So definitely.
Yeah.
I
wasn't sure on a name. I was like thinking of some different ones, but that's a little bit more difficult. Soma?
The drug from what's it called?
Oh yeah. I can't think of it either.
It will come to me.
So SOMA, is that what that
yes.
would be? We could do that as an acronym. Because that's fancy.
Oh yeah, do it. Do it.
Okay.
What's the acronym stand
for? Who knows? We can come up with that too. Something medical association.
Yeah. Something medical association. It works.
Yeah. Okay.
Brave New World. There it is. Brave New World.
Okay. So you're thinking pharmaceutical and drug manufacturing.
Yeah. And then like also provides like the prosthetics and stuff that are insured.
Gotcha. And cybertech developer, cyberware developer. Okay.
So like they provide drugs to the upper class, and then also maybe filter drugs down to the lower class to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, because they're creating the cyberware. They're the first point of contact, like selling it to people. Whereas OmniTrust insures the cyberware, they're probably purchasing it through Soma, discounted rates, and so there's probably a
Yeah.
close relationship between those
Yeah.
corporations. Awesome. That's a really good idea. Okay. So we've got OmniTrust. Oh, wait. Let me add Somna to the corporate clock. So it's going to be S. No. Come on. SOMA. Soma. All right. So we have OmniTrust, IDIS, Ares, Aegis, and Soma. Savannah, any ideas?
Yeah, I got to get a video game developer up in there.
Okay. Yep. Of
I
course.
would like to get primarily a video game developer, but also probably, I assume, releasing their own consoles and tech to go with them. I'm going to call them Catechism Entertainment.
Catechism. Okay. You guys are really testing my spelling abilities.
I Googled it.
I know there's an H in there somewhat. Nope.
It's CATECHISM.
I went to Catholic school. You think I'd know this? Okay, entertainment. All right, Catechism Entertainment. They do video game development.
I think video game and console development, sort of moving into virtual reality and augmented reality, and maybe a little artificial intelligence.
Okay, video game,
I picked
VR.
Catechism because the chat is asking. I picked Catechism because partially of its religious roots, but also if you look up anything about brainwashing, guess what comes up?
Oh, yeah. So VR, video game, and console development. AI programming.
Yeah, so I think that that main focus is we make entertainment. But,
Okay. So here's what I'm doing for that one. VR, video game, and console development, and AI programming and distribution. So they develop artificial intelligence and sell it to like tech companies to incorporate into their products.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Awesome. Okay. I was worried for a second there because you were kind of putting the way you were leading on that you were just going to name the one that I used in Cyberscape and just go for that, because I thought about that too, because I had created that one which was Utopia Entertainment.
That's funny that you
Utopia
think I would
Gaming.
remember the name
Yeah.
of anything.
Which was what I was going to do initially, but I decided to go the insurance way, and I'm glad you did, because I really wanted there to be some sort of video game developer. So we have...
You guys are lucky I was able to come up with a name at all.
We I'll add Catechism. Boy, this is a long one too, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to fit this on this little clock here. But we've got our 5 corporations now. Catechism Entertainment. Clock. All right, so just listen them off for everyone at home. I'll actually move us over to the clock screen so you guys can see this. We have OmniTrust, which is an insurance conglomerate specializing in high-risk life and cybertech insurance. IDIS, which is an entertainment virtual media company. SimSense, digital communication, domestic surveillance. Ares Aegis, which is an arms developer, military contractor, and for-rent cyber police force. Soma, which is a pharmaceutical and drug manufacturing company and cyberware developer. And then Catechism Entertainment, a VR video game and console development company with AI programming and distribution on the side. These are some awesome corporations, guys. A lot of good potential there too for jobs. So I'll take us back to here.
Came up with something for Soma that works pretty good. Surgical optimization and medical advancements. I put it over in the chat over there.
The
I like
Surgical
that.
Optimization and Medical Advancements Corporation.
Yep.
Obviously, I'm not putting that in the
Yes,
Roll20 game.
that's why I was like, Soma
Good.
works great, because that's the kind of thing that Big Pharma would have.
All right, perfect. So we have the corporations. That is the bedrock for this game. Step 0 done. Step 1, and this is something that you guys have mostly already done. We're getting into your characters now. Choosing a playbook. I think most of you already decided on one. Is there anybody that's on the fence still? Or is everyone like, this is what I'm going to do? All right, I'm just going to have you guys list which playbooks you guys chose. So, GB, which one did you pick?
It's best if you don't mute yourself in this situation. I'm going to be the driver and drone jockey.
Perfect. The driver in this setting plugs her car into her brain and roars off in a crowd of fumes and drones is the descriptor for that. All right. We'll get into more of the details. We're not going to go too much into it right now. Morgan, what did you pick?
I picked the hacker.
I'm so glad we're having a hacker in this group. Because that means we get to get into the Matrix, and very much looking forward to that. So the hacker glides through computer networks, taking what the job requires and more. One of the good things about this game, if you guys don't have someone in your group and you need that person, you need that role to be filled for a job, you do have the option to recruit people. It's a mechanic of the system to hire people for jobs. Hiring hackers is something that you would have if you guys didn't have a hacker in your group. You would be doing that for almost every job. And if you don't roll well, if it doesn't go well for you, if you don't pay them enough, things go pretty bad. So that would have been an interesting dilemma to work with. Having a hacker in your squad means that you don't have to go through that. A hacker is a hugely like important role to fill, and you're probably going to see a lot of people will have a lot of conflict with people being like, I want to hire your hacker if they're good, and if they're not good, then also having to deal with that too. Hopefully the roles work out better for you in this game, Morgan. The next
Hopefully.
hopefully. The next person on my list is Savannah.
Yeah, I'm playing the killer.
Oh boy. Killer in this game uses bleeding edge technology to commit violence. Straight to the point. You're the person, you're the muscle. Which is going to be good because there's going to be muscle needed probably at some point if things don't go well, or even if they do. Maybe that's the way you guys want to go. And then last we have Sid.
I'm gonna go reporter.
Okay. The reporter uncovers the truth and exposes the guilty. So the reporter is an interesting class playbook too, because at first glance you're like, that doesn't really fit into a lot of the things that are going on. Like, how does a reporter work? But running like with social media and all that sort of stuff, working on like getting information, being able to like sweet talk your way into a situation, like that's a lot of like undercover work and information gathering, which will help you guys a lot during the missions, which the first half of the mission is legwork phase, where you guys are gathering information and need to learn things and stuff. And so having somebody like a reporter is definitely good. So it sounds like we have a pretty diverse and like well-rounded team here. So what we get into next, kind of piggybacking off on our step 2, is naming and describing your characters. I know from speaking with you, some of you already have names and like kind of like general concepts for your characters. Does everyone have a name for their character at this point? Or some people still think, okay, that's 3. All right, so Sid, you're last on my list, so we'll go through everyone else first, and then we'll get to you. So I'll go down through the list again. Then GB, what sort of name and description are you thinking of for your driver?
I had a whole scene played out, but it might be better for later. So I'll just say his real name is Carl Jackson with an X in it, but his call sign is Klaxon.
Klaxon. Love it. Okay. And we already talked about your vehicle a bit, being a big hover vector, a tank with vector thrusters. I don't remember the exact.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. We'll get into the logistics of that
Per
when we get.
tank.
Yeah. Okay. So Morgan, name and your character.
My character as the hacker goes by Clarity, but mostly is called Claire. And the biggest thing about her is she doesn't have eyes; she has prosthetics instead.
Oh, cool. So you're going with the cyber eye.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. That'll be awesome. Clarity.
Yeah.
That's a really good
She's
hacker name.
kind of blind,
Okay.
so that'll be interesting.
I'm imagining a little bit like third act of the Matrix, Neo, like seeing the code and stuff that runs through
Yeah.
everything. Awesome. Savannah.
Yes. My character's name is Choke.
Yep.
I'm just gonna let that one sit with everyone for a second.
All right. Everyone make your jokes
because
like
her-
up front, and then we'll get
Go
into
ahead.
that later.
Go ahead. I dare you to make them to her face because she's
I have a feeling we won't be making many jokes to her face.
She's
It's just,
a-
you know.
big beefcake. And she's called that. She has a real name too. She doesn't tell anybody what it is. But she's called that because her custom weapon, which we can get into in a little bit, is a big chain.
Mhm. Yep.
And she has a robot arm
Mhm.
for more strongness. She's just very large and strong. That's really her whole thing.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to all the descriptions of choking people.
I have a whole character description ready, but I'll wait.
Yeah.
But
We're
yeah.
planning also getting art too, and I don't think we'll have it for the first session, but hopefully it'll be.
No,
soon
we
enough.
should have it in a couple weeks though.
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
So I'm playing Choke.
Choke, and then Sid. What's your character's name?
She goes by Impulse. She used to go by Marilee Markinson. And she was a like medium range, mid-level Simpsons celebrity maybe like 10 years ago. I figure more of a cyberpunk version of like Effie Trinket from the Hunger Games. Like she's just gonna be in a different like outfit every 6 to 12 hours.
Perfect. That's Impulse again?
Impulse, yeah.
Impulse. All right, so we've got Klaxon, Clarity, Choke, and Impulse.
All regular names for regular people.
Yeah, in the cyberpunk. I also, is Klaxon starting with a C or a K?
K. As
K.
in Carl. He took
K.
the K and the L from Carl and the accent from Jackson.
Perfect.
Slammed it
Because I was
together.
like, otherwise we've got C, 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 and I.
No,
Assuming
oh
that
no,
Clarity,
we've done it again.
assuming that Clarity and Choke are also are spelled with C's, and not K's.
Can I get everybody to put their character name on their Roll20 name so I don't forget them
Yes.
while I'm thinking about it?
Yeah, do
Roll
that.
20, not Zoom call.
No, because I'm always looking at Roll20.
Okay.
Yeah, do it on Roll20. Go ahead and
Or
update
Zoom.
your.
I guess we could do both.
Yeah, update your Roll20 sheets as we're doing this too, so we don't have to backtrack later on. Awesome. So we have our names, a little bit descriptions. We don't have to get too much into it because we want there to be a nice reveal when we get our first scenes as with the audience. So we get into some of the more nitty gritty stuff next. You guys assign stats to your characters. The way that stats work, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stats in this game, which is a lot for Powered by the Apocalypse, but they're all necessary in their own ways. So there's style, edge, cool, mind, meat, and synth. I ran out of fingers there. For the so those are the 6 stats that man, that look. The 6 stats
You
that you guys
said
are
it.
going to need to attribute for your characters to function. Different, like any other RPG, different stats are going to be important for different characters. I'm actually looking at my list of which stats are good for what. Unfortunately, this book isn't laid out in the most fantastic way.
I will say on the play sheets where it shows you like the stats and it says like assign each stat one of these numbers, underneath it says like these are the ones you should probably put your +2 and a +1 in. So that's helpful.
Oh yeah,
If you guys are looking at that.
Yeah, look at your sheets. Here it is. So look at your sheets for what it recommends you to do. You can do whatever you want in this game, though. You're not locked in like Monster of the Week. You have to put your stats in different places. Some other games, like you're required to put your stats in different locations. This one, it's free reign. You can do whatever you want. Cool is what you use to remain calm and focused in stressful situations. There are moves that use cool, such as act under pressure, apply first aid. I can't remember if... No, that doesn't use cool. So, staying calm under pressure, kind of what you'd expect. Edge is what you use to draw on your street smarts and experience, or give the impression that you're a badass. It's kind of a bluff stat, but it's also like your experience. You've lived on the streets. You're very familiar with the dredge, and you know how to get around. Meat is to use your physical talents without the aid of cyberware to overcome a problem. That is your physical strength, your physical prowess with your meat body. The next one is mind, which is used to think your way out of a problem through logic, instinct, creativity, or any other mental process. There are some like research is a mind move. There's some that matrix moves that use mind, like compromise security is one. We'll get into the moves later on. I won't worry too much about it, but it's your intelligence essentially. Style, to handle a situation with charisma, presence, or nerve. It's your charisma stat. It's an easy way to summarize that. There are, let's see, moves that use style, like hit the street, which is when you go to a contact for help, is what that move is used for. And then the last stat is synth, which is to interface seamlessly with technology. That is when you're using technology, when you're using your cyberware to do things, you're typically rolling synth. So there's some dichotomies between some of these moves, like meat and synth are moves if you move more towards like using cyberware and being really decked out with that, you're going to want synth instead. If you're going to be physically strong and not really rely on your cyberware too much, you're going to want meat. Edge and style kind of counteract that way too, where they're both kind of used to bluff in like different ways. Does anybody have any interesting things with like attributing their stats, or is everyone pretty clear on where you guys are gonna put stuff?
Already got them.
Okay, we're not gonna go through all that. I'm not gonna ask you guys to list off what your numbers are, because that sounds incredibly boring.
Should we all like say what we're focusing on?
Yeah,
like
let's do
stats are?
Let's do that. I think that's the best way to do it. So, what for the driver? What are your top stats?
Cool and edge and synth are tied.
Okay.
So meat and mind and style, no style at all.
Okay. What about you, Morgan?
Mind is my top with synth and edge tied, and meat is just very bad.
Perfect. And Savannah?
My main one's meat, obviously for punching, and then cool and edge, and I have no style.
No style, and then low synth too?
My synth and my mind are zeros.
Okay. All right, and then Sid?
Edge and mind. So edge is my top, and then mind, and then I'm wondering. I'm going back and forth between if I should put my other one into style or synth.
Okay. And that you guys can look at like the moves you're planning on taking and stuff, and see like for your playbooks, because those will influence, like some of those will use more stats of a certain stat, so you can get an idea of what kind of things you want to be good at.
Yeah.
Style.
It's kind of what I'm leaning towards. That's where it's at right now.
Yeah.
I guess that'd just be my synth at a 0, which I guess is fine.
Okay, so sounds like we got most of that. You guys can tweak them before session 1. I'm not asking anybody to lock into something right now. If you guys want to, once we roll dice, then you're locked into whatever you picked. Until we actually roll our first dice, you're free to switch it up. So we did stats. Next would be, we got some time to do a little bit more before we take our break. Next will be cyberware. This is the cool stuff. This is where we're getting to some of the cooler elements of your guys' characters. So everyone on their playbook should have a list of like cyberware you can take. If anyone is not sure what to look at there, please let me know. I can go to your playbook and help you out. It's usually under gear, I think, is where your cyberware is at, unless it's under.
So on the playbooks, mine has a cyberware section.
Yours has a cyberware section. Okay.
I don't know if everybody has that, but I have that. Like,
Yeah,
that's
I have
separate from gear.
Yeah, I have a separate section too.
Okay.
Same.
Some of you have options. I know with the hacker, you just get one. Like yours is a set. Whatever you only get the one thing. Does everyone else have like
7
options to
options.
pick from? Okay,
I have,
so
like,
the
7.
driver doesn't, and then yeah, the killer has options. Reporter.
Yeah,
does.
I've got a couple. I get 1.
I know what
Okay.
I'm taking though.
I have 4 options.
Can we cut and paste from the playbooks? Is that a
You
thing?
should be able to, yeah.
I think so from the PDF.
If you don't want to type everything out.
No.
You're probably gonna have to do a little bit of formatting, but yeah, you should be able to copy and paste it onto your character sheets. Everyone pick their cyberware. We're gonna go around and you're gonna tell me what cyberware you picked, and then you guys are gonna have to do 2 questions related to your cyberware. One of them. So what this says in the book, I'm just going to read this off. It says, choose one piece of cyberware from the options on your playbook. If you have options, think about how and why you got into this business. And then I'm going to ask you 2 questions. One of them is, why did you get part of your body cut out and replaced with electronics? So think about why you did this. There's like a list here. It's like prosthetic, forced, loyalty, enthusiasm, necessity, junkie, genetics, career, ideology, memory, and military. So like you don't have to pick one of those. That's just like some inspiration for you to pick from to think about why you might have, and assign like that tag to it. We can come up with something though. And then the second
If you guys
question.
are looking for those on the playbooks, it's the second page of your playbook. It's under starting lists.
Okay. And then the second question is, how did you afford to have someone cut out part of your body and replace it with electronics? And you get to choose between 3 options. 1, you script and save to buy it yourself. You have to apply a tag to it, which is something like unreliable, substandard, hardware decay, or damaging. That's a tag you're going to have to add to it. And it's usually the assumption here is you bought it yourself, but it's not good. It's the best you could afford. The second one is someone else paid you for it, and now you owe them for it. So you don't have to take a negative tag, but you get the tag owned. You are considered owned by someone. You get to choose who owns you. Usually it's a corporation. You owe them for giving you the cyberware. Or the third one, you fucked someone over to get it. And you get the descriptor hunted, which you get to describe who you double-crossed, and it's going to be bad. Bad things might happen. Bad people might come to get you because they want their stuff back and they're going to rip it out of you. So, could go real nasty. So, after having a moment to sort of digest and think through that, GB, you seem like you've got some stuff, and Morgan, like you did too. We'll start with GB again and work our way around in the same order.
Military. He was total operative. The way out of the slum was to join the army, sir. And They gave him implants so he could fly vehicles and run drones, and in the end he skipped out and kept the hardware.
Okay.
So I am hunted.
You are hunted. All right. And you stole from the military. So I'm assuming it's something where like they give you the cyberware and then they're like, oh, what is your cyberware again?
It's interface so I can jack into
car.
vehicles and drones.
Yeah, so they need you to do that for the military. You're going to be running your drones or whatever the equipment is they need. So they give you that. You have to work it off over, probably an absurd amount of years. And you just skipped out and stole it. Okay. We're going to say that I'm imagining that that's going to be Ares is the group that you stole it from. All right. That makes it easy. I'm not going to advance the corporate clock for that, but we may get into that later on. But we'll keep that in mind. So, Morgan, what were you thinking for... I'm going to try using your character name some more so I can get into that clarity.
So, clarity, I did not have a choice in this. It's a necessity. So, while hooked up to the Matrix, something went wrong and Clarity lost her eyes. She had a contact at Soma, which is kind of why I came up with it, who was able to hook her up with some prosthetic eyes that kind of restore her vision, but also give her a direct link to the Matrix, and now owes them. So she is owned by someone who works at Soma.
Okay. Owned by Soma. Okay. And you're flavoring this as your neural interface are your eyes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. Love it. Savannah, you had like a whole page of stuff to choose from. Which one did you end up going with
I
for
picked
choke?
a cyber arm.
Okay.
My first one. I could get more later. But so I have a cyber arm. The cyber arm actually gets a couple of options along with it, which you can like later on, instead of picking another piece of cyberware, you can add to the arm you already have. But I picked augmented strength for my cyber arm, so melee weapons hurt people more when I use them because I have a robot arm.
Okay. So what is the descriptor for yours? How you got it?
How I got it. So I did career, because she's a former boxer.
Right.
Turned pit fighter, turned killer. So I picked career. I also picked someone else paid for it. Now you owe them, you're owned. So I was gonna say her manager knows somebody in a big corporation. Initially, I was going to say Soma because they're medically inclined, but then I thought maybe it would be more interesting if it was one of the entertainment companies that paid for it.
Okay. Yeah. Because they're sponsoring some of these pit fights. These. Okay. Let's
Which
do.
one of them does pay-per-view?
I would say IDIS probably.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Because initially I was just gonna go a medical company, but I think it's more interesting if she got it like, for her job, which was fighting, probably on TV at some point.
Okay. Pay-per-view pit fighting. All right. Cool.
I just think that's more interesting.
No, I love it. So Disney is after you. There's going to be a mission where you guys are going to be attacked by Mickey Mouse. It's going to happen. Just be ready for it. I'm going to work on my Mickey Mouse impression because it's terrible.
Mickey Mouse paid for my robot arm, so
you're all gonna die.
I may just have Sid do it when it happens. Yeah.
That was really good.
I wonder what Cyberpunk Disneyland would look like.
Oh god.
Oh man.
Nuka
We may
World.
do well, no, we could say Cyberpunk Disneyland is here because we're on the West Coast, and okay. Yep. I'm gonna add that to my dream list.
The Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
And Sid, don't worry, Mickey. I've got your back. It's Goofy.
Oh my gosh. You guys are really good at that.
Well, there's definitely a mission with you guys infiltrating Cyberpunk Disneyland as the characters. It's gonna happen now. All right, love it. Didn't realize we had so
Yeah.
much hidden Disney talent on this team.
So yeah, I think Disney paid for me to get a robot arm, so I'd be better at fighting on their TV.
Awesome.
Cyberpunk.
Yep, sounds right. Okay, and Sid. So yeah, that went to choke. So Sid, Impulse, what you got? Who owns you? or-
I went with the neural interface with data storage.
Okay.
I also went career, just keeping a lot of sort of being a former SimSense star and all that, like keeping all of that info and everything all set and ready to go. So
Okay.
career for that. Question: what is inaccessible partition?
Oh, so I don't know about the mechanics of it, but my assumption is that something that there is a part of your SimSense or your neural interface that people can't get into. It's
Okay.
like a lockbox in your head.
Got it.
A smuggler's bay or
Yeah.
smuggler's
Cool.
cache.
Okay, I'm gonna
Yeah.
pick that, and I'm also gonna pick high capacity as well. So lots of stuff in this noggin.
Okay,
Um,
that makes sense because you're gathering information. You want some of it to say secret. You keep dirty secrets from other people on there to blackmail them with. Yeah,
Exactly.
awesome.
I was gonna say I wanna spread the love or the hate, I should say. I thought it would make more sense for Idis to have sort of purchased that when she was working for them, but I think I like it better that Catechism ended up sort of like corporate takeover, sort of, or like poached her and was like, actually, come work for us. So let's say Catechism bought
Okay.
stuff for her.
Okay, so you were owned by Catechism.
Well, but then when she actually became a reporter, because screw the man, she kind of jumped on the contract. So
Hunted by Catechism. Perfect. So we've got 2 hunted, 2 owned. Nobody wanted to go with the shitty cyberware, which I don't blame you. And I think 3 of you have neural interfaces.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Did you need our tags on those?
Put them on your sheet, and I will.
Perfect.
I'm gonna research your guys' stuff at some point and have a nice place to put it. Otherwise, probably what I'll do most of the times is the tags only really come up when things go bad. So if you guys roll poorly on something involving the use of your cyberware, I will ask you what tags are on that, and you'll read them off to me, and I'll say, let's use that one, or that goes wrong, or something like that. So you guys being good at note taking is going to make my job a lot easier. But yeah, so everyone's got their cyberware, and everyone has got some shit going on, and I love it already. So what is it? Is 919? Okay. What was the next one? Is it going to be long? Choose playbook moves. I'm gonna let you guys do that in your own time. I think you guys only get like 1 or 2 for the most part to start out. Has everyone already like picked their playbook moves, or yeah, people thinking about it still?
I have an idea, yeah.
I'm not gonna.
One of mine is my custom weapon, is the thing that I get, which I do want to talk about at some point.
You want to talk about it on stream, or you want to talk about it just in like with me?
Oh, just at some point. I'm trying to pick between, because essentially the move that I get with the killer playbook is you get a custom weapon and you can pick a base and the tags to add to it.
Okay. Yeah, well, we've got like a 10 minutes on break. That sounds like a good way to fill the 10 minutes. So if anyone, we'll start with Choke. But if anyone has any moves, they're like, if you want to put in for group input, be like, I'm thinking about these 2 things. What do you guys think about that? We can workshop some stuff. So what were you wanting to look to the group for?
So the base I picked is a chain. That's the name. Choke. I do also have to name my weapon, which I'm working on. But I get
Choke,
that.
you make choke face?
Yep. That's. Dang it! How did you know? So I do get to add 2 tags to it. So a chain does 1 harm, and then with my cyber arm I get +2 harm. So I'm already sitting at 3 harm with a dang chain, which is good. But so there's a lot of like tags I can add to it, and I guess my question for you guys really is I'm probably gonna add the tag big to it, which makes it do more damage. My real like thing that I'm going back and forth is I can also add like weighted to do more damage, or there is this option, Sean, we talked about this earlier, there's this option to put a versatile tag on it, which lets me do essentially would give me the option in certain situations to do like non-lethal damage.
That entirely depends on Choke's personality.
Which I think might be valuable at some point. There's other things I can put on it that really wouldn't make any sense. Like silenced. I don't know. It's a chain.
Yeah. You can get some wacky stuff.
So really, I think what I'm trying to decide is just like massive harm, or like still very much harm, but the option to, I don't know, maybe kidnap people instead of kill them on occasion.
Once in a while.
Why did Choke become a hired killer?
Money.
Go versatile. If it was to kill even more people, then I would say do that.
Because they don't let you kill in the boxing ring.
Exactly.
That's how she's gonna talk.
Yeah. Well,
Can,
go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna make the point that you can silence a chain. You rubber coat it.
Oh, yeah.
Or individually rubber coated.
I guess
technically. So it doesn't clink, clink, clink as you move along.
She went to a local park and she took down a swing and
I just had it. So yeah, so technically like the silenced tag in this game lets you remove the loud tag from something, which a chain doesn't have.
Okay, then yeah, it's not really going to help you.
So it's a good idea though. It's like covering it in rubber. So I can have a chain that does 5 harm, or I can have a chain that does 4 harm and lets me not kill people every time if I want.
Which I'll.
That's what I'm going between.
What I was going to say for the context of the game, because a few of you are used to Monster of the Week, and with harm, the way that harm works, being monsters have like tons of it, and it takes a lot of damage to bring people down. 1 harm will kill most people. 2 harm will kill like security guards, and take out is the right word. Well, 2 harm will take out security guards. 3 harm will take out highly trained guards. 4 harm will take out elite non-cybered warriors. 5 harm is people like you guys, because you guys all have harm clocks. We haven't gotten into the clocks much yet. We'll probably do that in the second half here, but everyone can take 5. Well, you take 5. You can take up to 6 harm. You die on the 6th one, so you can really only take 5 harm in this game before you kick it. So yeah, for context, a chain that does 5 harm is basically a WMD in this game.
So that's why I was maybe thinking of putting the versatile tag on it, so we can also,
Snatch
maybe
folks.
not kill someone.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. My character's very simple.
I had one to throw out too. So I'm looking between well, I do get some really fun ones. Like I can go live on the air to like basically if I roll well, then you're on camera, you can't hurt us. It's gonna be a lot of fun, just saying. But I get all those automatically. I'm wondering if I should take something called Filthy Assistance. So basically I'll get a lot more for research, and the team will take +1 forward if we follow the research advice, which could be very helpful. Getting more info out of people, which is monstering. If I corner someone and hound them with a question, if I get a 10+, then they have to tell me the truth regardless of the consequences against them.
That's really good.
It's a really fun one. And then there's also like basically a get out of jail free is the press pass, which is if you reveal your public persona to fast talk your way in, you don't have to roll the dice. It's automatically a 10 plus. I take intel, but we do have to advance to the legwork clock.
Okay.
I have so many fun moves. Like it's hard to choose. So I can only get one of those for now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of a really good starter one, but I can't choose.
Rip through them again real quick. Just
Filthy assistance, which is basically like we get more intel when we do research, and we also get a +1 forward if we follow that research. Monstering is basically if I scare someone enough and I roll high enough, they have to tell me the truth regardless of the consequences. Like literally, they have to tell me the truth even though they might die because of it. And then press pass. If I use fast talk to talk our way in, I don't even have to roll. It's just like I show my press pass and we get in, but we advance the legwork clock. So that could potentially be bad.
damn, you're right. Those are good.
Aren't they cool?
Yeah.
They're so cool.
I love the press pass one and the monster one.
I know.
Those are both really, not that the first, I mean, they're all three really good. I would lean towards one of those two as my opinion on the matter.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say the monstering one.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
for like pumping information.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think I'll do that. I think I'll go monstering.
Morgan, GB, did you guys have any dilemmas?
I didn't have any dilemmas because I really wanted the drone jockey, so there was you just get an extra drone. So I have in mind I have a big one and a little one.
Okay.
The two drones, plus the flying tank. I can't complain. There are some good ones, but all the rest of them are more style, like you're a hip, cool driving person, and I am not. I'm a drone jockey. I fly the tank to house the drones.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, Morgan.
Yeah, a lot of my moves have to do with the Matrix and hacking, which I'm the hacker, so that makes sense, but I'm still trying to learn the mechanics of that, so I'm probably going to look it over a little bit more, and some of them are helpful to teammates.
Yeah, let's talk real briefly on like 2 minutes. So let me just give a brief overview of the Matrix. So the way that this game deals with the Matrix, which is exactly what you all think it is. I mean, it is the virtual reality. It is all technology, the inner workings of them, being able to program, work with, infiltrate, get information from technology. Is all wrapped up in the Matrix. The hacker is the one that's able to best use the Matrix. Anyone with a oh god, what is it? There are rules to it that I'm going to get into. There's a whole rule set on how the Matrix works, but there are moves that you use when you're in the Matrix to get information. We get to decide how we define the Matrix and what it like looks like, because I'm not just going to be like, all right, so you've got 3 files right there, and this one says this, and this one says that, and this one says, like, I'm not going to actually do that sort of thing. I know nothing about hacking. I know nothing about code. I'm not going to sit here and try to talk in binary. I like to represent technology and that in a very like physical way, with you like walking down a corridor or doing so, especially since you are like neural interfacing into it. I want to flavor as much of that as like VR as possible. So that's how we're going to do it. There are moves that you use to accomplish certain things. Anytime you enter the Matrix, you have to roll to log in. When you want to get out, you have to roll jack out. To get out of the Matrix, and usually that's under a high pressure situation. If there's no high pressure and you're disconnecting, it's that you just get to leave. But when you try to get into it, you roll log in, which is synth. Then there's like compromised security, which is like to disable like some sort of security system within there. Manipulate systems, which you use to essentially change things that are going on in a facility or manipulate the systems of whatever it is. There's something called ICE, which we'll get into, which is one of the coolest parts of it. There's like 3 different types of ICE, which stands for, I don't remember the word. It stands for something, but it's basically like the general like defensive systems of it. It ranges from like the lower ones, which I think is like blue ice, which is the system, which the defense ones that essentially just like do alarms and notify of intruders stuff, to black ice, which is like hardcore like top of the line defenses systems, which will like prevent you from logging out, give you a bunch of hallucinations, fry your neural interface, essentially like burn you alive from the inside. Like terrible stuff. Like black ice, hacker's nightmare, run away as fast as you can. And yeah, it's intense. There's a bunch of rules on it, on how it works, and we'll get into it. You as the hacker get like advantages dealing with it because you have neural interfaces. People with neural interfaces, or I think it's people without them, get negatives on any rolls in the Matrix. So like Savannah's character Choke trying to do anything in the Matrix is going to be at a -1 to do anything because she doesn't have a neural interface and can't keep up with the programs. But yeah, we'll talk more about that as we go because that's going to be a learning experience for both of us because I don't remember everything. I read it over like a couple weeks ago and then I've already forgotten about it.
It'll be fun.
Yeah. And before we take our break here, I'll let you guys all know, like, picking your moves, I'm going to give a little bit of like a grace period on some of your moves probably in the first couple sessions because none of us have played the system before. If we get a couple games in, you're like, I don't like this move. It isn't what I thought it would be. It's not as useful to me as I want. And even with the stats, I said like your stats lock in first session. If you make the argument to me, it's like, I didn't realize how important this stat would be for my character. When I made the, like, that doesn't make any sense that I picked things that way. Can I please change it? I'm pretty open to that. None of us have played this game before. It's a learning process. If it's just like, you know, this move's so much cooler, I didn't realize it, I'll say take that later on. You'll get your advancement, your chance to take it. But if there's something legitimately like it doesn't make sense for my character, that I would have done this, then I'll give a grace period on that. But we're at the half-hour mark here. We're going to go ahead and take our break so people can stretch. Everybody can jack out and do their own things. And we can all decompress a bit, and we're going to come back and we're going to talk about you guys get to pick your gear, which you might have already, and then we're going to get into some of the better stuff, which is like background and contacts, talk about your relationships between each other, and get into some more details of like where this game is starting out. So stay tuned with us, everybody. We'll be right back in a few minutes, so hang out. We'll see you soon. And welcome back, everyone. Thanks for hanging out with us on our break. We are all refreshed, talking about recipes and food and stuff waiting for us after the stream, but we are going to just get right back into this cyberpunk goodness. So where we left off, you guys picked your moves, talked about that. The next part is picking gear. There was a little bit of table talk in the break about that. The one thing I want to go ahead and tell you guys before you do anything, so everyone starts out with 5 cred, so make sure you put that on your sheet somewhere. I don't know if that's in the playbooks that told you that you get 5 cred, but I just want to make sure that everyone has that. This game does not have a currency system. It's very, again, I love the way it does it. It's kind of like Dungeon World. Which we've done on this stream before, or on this channel before, where everything kind of exists in this loose, like, you have resources that you can trade in for things, but you don't actually have money. In the flavor of like the system, we'll describe like probably somebody that makes a lot of credits and stuff, and like that'll be like the currency, but you guys don't actually earn money. You don't get money. What you do get is cred, gear, and contacts. Cred is your number one source of currency. It's basically like something you trade in to get favors, get stuff, get whatever you might need. Gear is something you can buy with cred, or it's something you can earn in other ways. And again, it is a loose thing that you can own and trade in to have something handy that you need. So if you have some gear, it's an abstraction, and you can say like, I need some night vision goggles, or I need something, and I can tell you about like if that's something you could have with your gear or trade in to like have. And there's rules for it. There's some moves that you guys can use for things, but so you guys aren't required, and it works really well for the mission aspect of this game, where we don't have to do. It kind of works in like a Ocean's 11 kind of way, where we can backtrack and be like, well, we planned for this, and so we have this rope that we knew we need to get through this window or something, instead of actually having to have that rope and be like, oh, well, shoot, can't do that. Let's go back, guys, and go get the thing that we need. So anyway, that was a long digression, but everybody gets 5 cred, and then you get the gear that's in your or the equipment that you get in your stuff. So does anybody have anything interesting they want to share with the class, or do we just want to like move on?
I have a question
Yeah.
to pose as I'm picking one of mine. So I got more guns, which is not super interesting. But for one of mine, I guess my question is like moves wise or equipment wise, is anybody gonna have anything that's like healing based, like first aid based? Because I have the option. So like my instinct is to take armor because I'm probably going to be taking a lot of the damage, but I also have the option to take trauma derms, which lets you do more first aid better.
So
But I didn't know if anybody else had the option
Yeah,
that we could talk about.
I do have the option, so I could either take the armor, or you know what? I think I'm going to be in the tank most of the time, and when I'm in the field with you guys, I'll still be in the tank. It'll just be my drones with you. So I'll take the derma patches, but that
Okay.
won't help you in the field. You'll have to get back to me for me to patch you up.
That's a fair trade.
All right. Sold. I'll do that then.
Okay, then I'll take body armor. My other option was an aggressive motorcycle.
I am taking a flashy motorcycle.
Oh man, we could just be a biker gang.
Oh, that would be so fun.
I think I do have to have body armor.
That's probably going to help you a little bit.
As
It's not the
fun as
exciting option, but
No, as fun as now. My question is with body armor: is there any like limit to like what that looks like, or like what that functions as?
I don't think so.
Does it have to be like a vest, or can I be like,
Nah.
I have ab implants? Like,
Dermal plating underneath
so-
your skin.
The dermal plating and stuff is an actual cyberware option that you can get later. So let's
Okay.
not do that, because that's something you can pick up at a different time in addition to your body armor. So it does have to be external, but you can flavor it whatever you
Okay.
want. It could be a sick leather
so
jacket.
a leather jacket.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. So you
Okay,
can
cool.
do that.
I'll do that then. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, because if we needed the healing, I was gonna take that, but
Mhm.
I'm probably not the best person to be doing that.
Okay.
You do the harm. We'll figure out how to heal the harm. How's
I
that?
got it.
Yeah.
My question is, would a motorcycle protect me from any harm? No?
Probably not. I'll look for vehicle stuff later, but I think it specifically has to have like a armor rating to protect you.
Well, if I can't get a cool leather jacket and a motorcycle at the same time, I guess I'll get the jacket first.
Plus, the motorcycle is probably not going to help when you're like infiltrating corporate warehouses and stuff. I mean, I guess you could ride the motorcycle inside. I've seen
No
the
guards
Matrix.
if you run them over with a motorcycle.
Yeah.
I'll probably take an armored coat instead of the motorcycle then, as exciting as it was.
No, I mean, again, take what you guys want to take. We'll find ways to use it. But yeah, armor.
This whole campaign is just going to be us building up to becoming a biker gang.
Yeah.
What I'll say too is the way these missions work, because we'll get to that later on, is like you guys have a killer on your team, so I'm assuming that a lot of your missions are going to end up involving hitting somebody or shooting somebody or whatever it might be. And that's fine. Like you guys can be like a hard hitting group and like you kind of build yourselves like that. You guys get to decide how you accomplish missions. A weapon never has to be used in this game. There's always you guys could be a completely weaponless, armorless group and just bank on the fact that you do a lot of good legwork, prepare yourselves very efficiently, and get in and out without anybody ever knowing to do your jobs. You may end up, and I'm only going to give you guys jobs for things that are interesting to you as well. If you guys had picked a group that didn't have a killer on it, and you guys wanted to be more pacifist or more like tech based and like hacker based and stuff, I'm probably not going to give you like hit jobs and stuff because nobody's going to hire you to go kill someone and assassinate someone if you don't have
Maybe
guns.
they would.
Maybe. And
It
you have
would
come up
be
with a creative way to do it.
When they least expect it.
Yeah. But, there's always ways to do that. You guys really get to decide how things are done in your missions. But that being said, you have a killer in your group. Weapons are probably going to be at play at some point. Having armor, probably good.
Probably a good idea.
Probably a good idea.
I do have a giant chain and 2 guns.
Yeah.
Both of my guns are automatic, I did realize.
And when you have a hammer, everything you see is a nail. So, that's what's going to happen. All right. Anybody have anything else? I know there was some discussion of you guys getting some knife guns or whatever it is that a couple of you are taking.
Knife
Flechette,
guns.
is that what it is? A flechette?
A flechette.
Flechette.
Did I say that right?
Now I am
Yes.
going to call it a knife gun forever.
Yep. I grabbed a knife gun. Also I only get armored clothing, which is not armor. It just like I get to -1 from the harm rolls.
Oh.
But it's also
Okay.
like discreet. The tag is
Yeah.
discreet, so it doesn't look like I'm all beefed up, which makes
Cool.
sense. And I'm taking recording equipment because that seems rather important for me to have.
I'm, along with the flechette pistol and the armored coat, taking a microtronics workstation so I can perform what does it say? Field repairs on electronics and cyberware.
Yes, because
Whoa.
that is a definite threat with
That's
your guys'
good.
cyberware getting damaged as a result of bad rolls and damage. So being able to repair at the field is an excellent idea.
Get
So I
ready
got
to be
that.
patching up my arm constantly.
Yeah. Or like hacking equipment and stuff like your neural interfaces. Those can get damaged too by ice. Lots of bad stuff can happen.
And you guys have
Cool.
some cool shit. I have a very large chain, an assault rifle, and a silenced auto pistol. And a cool armored jacket.
Again,
Yeah.
you're the killer.
Point me towards what you want killed.
You kind of have a thing.
I'm ready.
Yeah. You can anticipate that because you guys have a killer in your group, I'm going to give you a lot of missions that are going to involve killing someone. So I hope everyone's okay with that. We can talk about it if you guys want to be less bloodthirsty, but it kind of seems like that's the way things are going to go.
As long as they're bad people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they were for corporations. Of course they're bad people.
Everyone's
gonna-
bad. Then we're fine.
And I'll say up front, I'm imagining Choke not as like a bloodlusty, like
Not a
I'm going to
psychopath.
kill everything. I said no, it's not a psychopath. More of a like a trained weapon on a leash, as a
Sure.
like I don't know. I have guns and a robot arm. Like
Less Hannibal Lecter, more Barry.
she's more of a like. You point me in the direction you want me to punch, and that's
Yeah.
the way I'll. That's the way I'll punch. I think she stays on track pretty well.
A Hannibal Lecter take on the killer, though. There might be something
Oh
there.
boy.
Yeah. So the other thing I'll mention too is just an aside. In most Powered by the Apocalypse games, it is assumed if you guys pick the playbook, you're the only person that can do that thing. Like nobody else can be that. That is not the case in this game. Y'all are disposable. There are 100 other hackers out there waiting to do the job for you. There are a bunch of other killers out there.
There are more of me.
Yeah, so that
Probably
is
with more
something
guns.
to really like. You guys are, and I don't mean to say because like I don't mean to keep ragging you guys on the players. Like that's just the feel of the game is you guys are disposable, like object tools to be used by the corporations, and you fight against that. And that's the whole point of the game is fighting the power. So we'll get into that too, but I just want to let you guys know. So if you guys come up against somebody and you're like, well, that seems a lot like my playbook, and they're doing a lot of the things that I should be able to do. Well, yeah, because they want your job. So,
Except based on one of the moves I took, I'm going to be advancing rather quickly.
yeah.
I know it's one of my directives. We can get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. Okay, so step 7, consider background and context. This is sort of a loose thing that we don't need. You can write like brief notes and stuff thinking about your characters. It's basically think about your character's background. Did he come from the streets? Did she grow up in a corporate arcology? Does he move in media circles? Did she serve in a regular military or paramilitary force of some kind? You know some people from your whole life who you can still go to for help and whom you'll name and describe during play. For now, write a brief note about the circles these contacts will come from. So think about who your contacts are, because there is a mechanism of this game. Everybody once per, I almost said mystery, once per mission can declare a contact, and you just get to just birth somebody into the world from your brain. So if you think about where those people are going to come from, and it's a really convenient way. When I give you a mission, I'd be like, you're going to have to infiltrate this, this, I don't know, media outlet or something, and or there's like a recording studio, and you got to steal the latest what is like a spec script or something from this company or something like that. And Sid, or as a SimSense former star, probably knows someone there, and you can declare a contact and say, I know someone that used to work for them. Here's who they are. Everyone froze on my screen.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I see
Sean
Savvy
froze.
moving.
Okay.
Oh.
We good?
What?
Everyone
You good?
froze
Look
for a
back.
second there. I just got the internet connection on a stable thing, so
Well,
think we're okay. I think we're back.
just a hiccup.
Yeah.
I've got a ton of gear in the way of weapons and drones. Do you want me to just tell you what I'm thinking real quick in case somebody's got something about that, or do we have other things to move on to?
We were going to move on to directives. If you want to quickly go
Okay.
through stuff.
So I'm gonna take the flying tank basically, and I want to give it stealthy in the fact that it looks like a handyman truck, like the total thing. So that's where its stealthy tag
Yeah.
is, and it's armed and what was the other one? Rugged. So it's just it's basically like a troop carrier type vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
But I've got it modded out, so it's got like big flat screens on the side that have like pixel art things, so I can change the sign. It'll be Handy Dandy one day, it'll be Swampy Steve's sewer whatever the next day. So it's sort of the somebody else's problem drive.
Yeah.
Is what its stealthiness is.
Okay.
And then I got the 2 drones. I'm gonna have a big one and a spider, a rat-sized spider drone.
Okay.
So
Cool. Love it. So we did gear. We talked about contacts. Think about that sort of thing. Step 8, directives. This is important for your guys' character. So each playbook includes 4 directives. You should have a list somewhere. Some of them are kind of like fill in the blank. I think most of them are like fill in the blank. Some of them are just statements. So I'm just going to read through this. These are one of the ways that you as a player get to contribute to the tone and direction of the game. Part of the MC's agenda is to make these directives relevant, so make your choices based on tricky situations you want to see your character in. For example, if you want to see your character interacting with powerless people, choose the compassionate directive, and the MC will work to introduce situations in which you have to choose whether to help the powerless or not. If you want the game to involve a particular type of group or person, choose a directive that writes that group into the game. So you're going to choose 2 personal directives which reflect your character's motivations. Some are going to contain blank spaces, like I said, that you fill in with the name of an individual, group, organization, something like that. Or even a viewpoint or philosophy, which fits the structure of the sentence. Each time you make a move in service of one of your directives, you mark experience. So this is one of the ways that you're going to gain experience. This is your conflict, really, as a character. What is going to distinguish you from everyone else. So does anyone know what directives they're planning on taking? I saw Morgan's hand first, so let's go with her.
Okay, so the first directive I'm taking is revealing. which is when I discover more information about the hacker who blinded me, mark experience.
Okay. Okay, so you're going to be seeking out the hacker that led to your accident.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'm also taking network. So when your membership in, and I came up with the hacking group Oracle, hinders the mission, mark experience.
Okay. All right. So you're saying, do you think there's a connection between that group and the hacker who blinded you?
Yeah, like Clarity is part of Oracle as like a hacking underground group. So she's working with them to try and find out about the hacker who blinded her.
I see.
But
okay,
it
so
can
you're
also
working with them.
Yeah, but her working with them can hinder her.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Definitely mark, and I'll say this for all of you, definitely mark this on your sheet, because when I'm doing my prep for sessions and stuff, I'm going to be going through this to see, like, whose directive can I bring into play today based on this mission and stuff. So, awesome. Those are some good ones. And then it's going to be hard for me to remember, but try to for you guys to remember, if you're rolling related to that, if you guys push the narrative that way, if I'm introducing something and you're like looking into it, if you roll because of a directive, mark experience. If you're on the fence, like, I'm not sure if this really relates to my directive, just ask me and I'll probably say yes, but just let me know, because that's one of a few ways that you guys gain experience in this game. Because again, for some of the Monster of the Week folks, and then even for masks, there's no end of session questions in this game, so you guys don't get experience that way. Okay, so who's next? Sid?
Sure. I took compassionate. So when you put your compassion for the powerless ahead of the mission, you mark experience. And I also took revealing, but this will be when you discover more information about Catechism's darker dealings, mark experience. So maybe a little bit of a grudge, a little bit of a grudge. So
specifically targeting Catechism and helping out the underdog.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so it sounds like based on those two, we have people that are looking for, like, searching for secrets, uncovering mysteries, that sort of thing. So that's kind of leaning the game one direction, and then a little bit of helping the underdog, which we can definitely lean into as well. Okay, who's got other stuff that we can add to this? Savannah?
Yeah, I have mine. So my directives are masochistic. When you suffer one or more harm, mark experience.
Oh boy.
You are just gonna level up like crazy.
Sheep.
So hit me. And then the other one, and the far more interesting one, is protective. It is when you put your responsibility towards blank ahead of the mission, mark experience. And I think it's interesting if it is IDIS and the sort of entertainment career that she's tied to and trying to keep afloat.
So in a more simple way,
She owes them for the arm.
When you put your career or like your reputation ahead of the mystery or ahead of the mission.
Yeah, it's career essentially.
Career. Okay.
Because she does owe them for the cyber arm and essentially her entire career. So
okay. Yeah, we'll mark that as.
I assume that they will want to cash in on that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Let's leave it as career, because if we have it as I guess it can be one of the corporations. I think career being a little more broad gives more room to find ways to associate that, especially if you're doing missions against IDIS, which is probably going to happen at some point. But that also leaves for interesting things if you are trying to protect that, and I'm sure maybe at some point you're doing a mission against IDIS and you realize that if you do the thing, it's gonna mess over your career, so you get to choose and have that conflict between your individual well-being and that of the mission.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think because her arm is tied into that and she owes them, I think the career is probably still somewhat of a viable option.
An XP every time you get hurt, so I'm going to make sure I hurt everyone else.
Good luck.
No, that'll be good. It really leads into you getting a real like tangible benefit for putting yourself in harm's way for everyone. Awesome.
Now, it does say 1 or more harm, so if I end up with a 0 harm
Yeah.
hit, I don't get anything.
0 harm or S harm is
I
not
won't get
gonna
anything for those.
trigger that. S harm, for those of you that haven't read as much of the book, is like stun harm. Some of the weapons add that as like, set tasers to stun, and you don't actually deal damage, but you still have to roll a harm move when you don't actually like tick any boxes. So all right, and last is GB.
So I'm so glad that I went last because I didn't understand these because I'm too used to the other games where it's connected with people.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think I'll take rejected. When your former membership in the military hinders the mission, mark experience. And I think the other one I'll take is intimate. When you put your friend ahead of the mission, mark experience.
Okay.
And I think my friends are gonna be like a group, like basically like kind of like a VA hospital or something like that, where I hang out with these guys, and they're the dregs who've been dropped from the system, or they had their cyber stuff removed, and so they're messed up, and so
kind of
cool.
Yeah, when you put your friend, we can sort of generalize that when you put your, I'm trying to think of the good word, like former squad members or former. Yeah, I like that.
Army buddies.
Army buddies. When you put your army buddies ahead of the mission, mark experience. I like that.
Cool.
We can name that. Those will be some good contacts to pull from and name eventually, because giving names to that is going to help build some good drama. Awesome. So that's everyone's directive. So again, write those down on your sheets. I am assuming there's a place on your sheet somewhere to put those. Okay. I haven't looked them over that much because I'm a bad GM. Put those on there and I will look them over later. And I think we're on our last step of the preparing for play section, which will then open this up into more like general questions and discussion, which is going to be links. This is also kind of the longest part, so we'll see how much room this leaves us with after. So links is, again, one of the most exciting portions of the game and of this process, and this is probably the most like gameplay we're going to get into today. There's no rolling or anything. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to describe situations going one at a time, and you're going to talk. We already know your character a little bit, but you're going to tell everyone about a job your character did against one of the corporations we've already established. You describe your character's role in the job, and you name the corporation you ran the job against. You should play the leading role. Whatever the scenario is that you set up, you are the star of that role. This is your time to shine. Either you were in charge of the entire operation, or you provided a critical skill around which the mission was based. So we have a driver. You maybe didn't have to organize it, but like they needed a driver for this. You were the critical role in that, or the hacker, or whatever it might have been. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a countdown clock for that corporation. I've already got the countdown clocks on the sheet. If the countdown clock already exists, the MC will advance it. So for the first one, we're pretending all those countdown clocks don't exist. The first time somebody picks that corporation to run a job against, boom, it pops up. I'm probably what I'll do for the sake of this is I'll mark the others that we haven't picked yet, or I'll do something to indicate ones that haven't been picked. The way that this progresses then is the player on your left. For the sake of this, because we're not all sitting around a table, I'm going to do GB, Morgan, Savannah, Sid. That's the order we're going in, Sid to GB. So the next player in the line is going to tell you how their character was involved in that job. You don't have to be involved in the job. You get to choose. So if you're involved in that job, you describe how you were, and you're going to take +1 links with that character. I'm assuming you guys have on your sheet someplace where you can mark whether you have a links. Now, only the character that is saying, I did the next person. So GB tells their story. Morgan goes next. If Morgan says, I was involved in this way, Morgan takes a link from that. And then I'm going to advance that corporation's countdown clock. So we go around in the circle then Savannah gets to go. She gets to decide if she's involved. And Sid gets to go and decide if she was involved. And then we get back to GB, and that's it. So again, you get the link if you were involved. For each character in the story, I'm going to note their involvement and advance the countdown clock by 1. If you're starting to get the big picture here, the countdown clock could be filled all the way if you guys all decide to do same corporations or all decide to be involved. Why is that a bad thing? Is because the higher the corporation's countdown clock is, the more that corporation doesn't like y'all at the beginning of all of this. So if the corporation is at, let me look at the numbers here. Let me see. It's not here, but I'm pretty sure I remember it. I'll look it up later just to make sure. If the corporation's clock is at, let's see, 1500, 1800, 2100. If it is at 2100, then they are sort of, they're aware of you. They are kind of peeved off with you. They know of your existence, and they are kind of passively working against you. If you advance it to midnight, then that corporation is actively hunting you down. They hate you. They want you dead. So we could start the game with some of these corporations actively hunting you down, and you guys actively working against at the beginning of this game, which is totally fine. This is your guys' opportunity to decide like how much heat you want to be under at the start of the game. If you guys really want to say like, we hate IDIS, we want them to be hunting us like they hate us, we hate them like the beginning of this like start of session 1, you can do that. Or you guys can kind of come off the brakes a little bit, and you can say, all right, we're going to try to spread the heat here, try to start off a little bit like more neutral to get a lay of the land before we start taking off one corporation or another. That's your guys' decision to make. So everyone kind of understand how that works? All right. Awesome. So if we're going to start, then GB, you are first on my list.
Okay. Well, I didn't know that it was a round robin situation.
Yeah. So Klaxon, the driver, you get to say what. So pick a what your job is, or what the job was, and what the corporation it was against.
And the only one who can be involved in that job will be Clarity.
So she'll be going next. So it'll go around the list. So you come up with the job, and then Morgan gets to go next and decide, was Clarity involved in this? And then Savannah goes next and decides, was Choke involved in this? And then Sid goes next and decides, oh God, I forgot the name. Was Impulse involved in this?
Okay. So then when they do their stories, I can do the same.
Yeah.
But anybody can jump in at any point on any of the stories.
Yeah, basically you guys can all be involved in each other's stories, and you get links for doing that. And I should explain, I guess, what links are. Your links, it can go from +1 to +3, and you can use that to assist people. I've tried to remember the name of the move. Help or interfere is a role you can do with links. So when you help or hinder another character, you roll plus whatever that number is with them. So if you have 1, 2, 3 links with them. You roll plus add that number, and they can add a bonus to the roll. So kind of like in Monster of the Week, when you do the help or interfere or the assist rolls,
Okay.
you can help them with a move. The other benefit with links is once it rolls, those will continue to go up and down throughout the game. At the end of every session, you guys get to decide like who's another character that I grew closer with and kind of what happened and stuff. If it rolls up to +4, you get to describe some way in which your relationship has improved. You do a little scene or something of the two of you like connecting in some way. It goes back to 0, and you gain an experience for it.
Oh, sweet. Okay. All right. Well, let's just pick on iDiz because that's just too funny.
Okay. So I'm going to add, I moved them all to the GM layer. I'm going to add iDiz to the token layer so their clock exists now. We have started the clock with that corporation. So what was the job that you did?
So I came up with a story for my character and Savvy's character. And I didn't know my part of the mission was get the killer in. And Sav, you can be in this part or not, but it was the thing. So we see the hover tank whip in over this beautiful like Magic Kingdom type a place. Someone lives here type thing. And we whoosh in and we see the hover tank and we see the back gate come down, and the second the gate cracks open, the seal is broken, we hear just like massive loud Lamb of God on cybermeth loud music. And then the gate comes down, and as the gate's coming down, we're seeing from Jackson's point of view, and it opens like this, and we see a big person Choke carrying what looks like a bomb towards the back of the platform, and then they just jump off with the bomb and the bomb's like streaking through the air type thing. And then we whip up into Jackson. He gives her like the 2-finger salute kind of thing, and then it Borderlands snaps and it says, Carl Jackson, driver, call sign, dramatic pause, klaxon, and it does that Borderlands thing.
Yeah.
And then it whips out to the bomb going down, where Choke is on the bomb, and they're riding the bomb, and we're seeing the building like she's just gonna ride this bomb straight into the building. And at the last second, we see Jackson's got his rig on, and the bomb transforms into a gun-toting hoverbot, like this big hoverbot, and Choke flies off in like a combat roll and slides in the gravel on the roof up with the chain, ready to roll.
Okay. None of you have to do as much description as that.
Oh,
but
sorry.
No. That's amazing. That's amazing. None of you have to be that prepared, though. That if I could give you extra credit, if I could give you extra credit for how much work you did, I would. I'll figure out some way to do that. That was amazing. So essentially, what I'm hearing for is this an assassination or like a sabotage job against?
I'm just the driver.
Oh no, you get to decide. That's your decision.
It's your job, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's your job.
I would assume, it's an assassination.
Okay.
And I'm getting the killer in and getting him out.
They needed you to get the weapon in and out. Awesome. Cool. So we know.
Is the weapon the bomb? Is the weapon Choke?
The weapon is Choke, I think.
So we're going to assume
droid is there to hold you. Oh, sorry.
We all know that Choke is going to be involved in it, but the next one is going to be more. So you get to decide, was Clarity involved in this job or not?
I don't think Clarity was involved with this job. I don't think there was a lot that
it seems pretty low tech.
She would have to do. Yeah, so she just was like, "Good luck, guys. See you later."
Okay, that is fine. So we skip past Clarity. We don't advance the clock at all. But you don't get a link. So Savannah with Choke, you were involved. So I'm going to advance the clock to the next stage, and I'll show the stream this too. You guys are going to see the faded out ones, but as we advance, these little alerts will pop up, and it changes in color and stuff too. It's really cool. Thank you, GB, for finding these. Okay, so Choke, you were involved in this mission. Besides
Yep.
what you were there to do the killing, anything else specifically you want to narrate with that?
Narration wise, no, but I think if it was a bomb, she was there to assassinate probably several someones.
Mm-hmm.
There was probably like an event or convention or some important meeting in which several people needed to be taken out of commission and probably replaced.
It was the Lilo and Stitch 200-year anniversary, and I'm just kidding.
Now, see, what you guys don't know is actually we just flew over and blew up Splash Mountain.
Yeah. About time. All right. So you were
It was
involved.
some kind of like summit or something, I think, and there was a bomb involved, and so she was like, "Yeah, I'll take it. Fly me."
We aren't
And
even
so
in
they
the
flew
first
over and-
session, and we're bombing Disneyland, and I don't know how to feel about this. We'll talk about this later, guys. I don't think we need to talk about the tone of this game at this point, because I
Fake
think it's
Disneyland.
being set really, really easily.
Operation Splat Mountain.
Splat
you know.
Mountain. Oh boy.
So yeah, I think
okay.
there's like a summit happening or something, and several people wanted several other people taken out, and we were like, "Yeah, fuck it, blow it up."
All right, so
So I blew
right
it up.
now we have Operation Splat Mountain. I want all these to be named at this point, which is Klaxon, right now Choke, and we'll see about Impulse here in a second.
Of course, once you hit the bomb, you didn't look back. You know, the bomb's going off, and you're just walking
No.
back to the drone to get on the drone to fly back to the ship.
Cool guys don't look at explosions.
Exactly.
So, Sid, do you think Impulse was involved in this at all?
I can think of a way that she would be, but I don't know. Okay, you said this was like some sort of summit, and it was assassinating several people at this summit. Sure, yes. She wasn't on the ground, though. She was more involved in the legwork stage of sort of getting some major intel about the participants of the summit. You know, whining, dining, and schmoozing before the summit began.
Okay.
But then, of course, passed along that info to the team.
All right, so I'm gonna add Impulse to this list. All right, so Operation Splat Mountain went down as described, and that is the first link round that we do. So we've
So
done
no,
that.
that means that like on my sheet, I put that I have a link
Yes.
with
So both.
Klaxon, and then Sid does the same thing. That
Mhm.
doesn't make a link between like
No.
my character and Sid's character.
You
Okay,
both
it's just
have
the
a
person
link-
whose thing it is.
Yeah, you both have a link with Klaxon because you have worked with them before. You were on this job with them. You have that connection.
Got it.
Sound good? Okay. I think the way this should go is you shouldn't have more than a +1 with anyone by the end of all this, because I don't think there'd be a way for you to get more than a +1 with anyone.
That makes sense.
Okay. But right now, where we stand, I'll pop over the clocks real quick. We have the IDIS clock that is at 1800 right now, so they're not quite on you yet, but they are probably slightly aware. Okay. You didn't make too much of a splash with that, though. Morgan, with Clarity, what sort of
Okay.
job are you looking at?
Well, it's hard to follow Splat Mountain,
I know.
but
I'm sorry. I should have done
um,
GB last. I should know better at this point.
I'm imagining that Clarity had a job that required stealing information from OmniTrust for Soma, trying to find like, you know, their books, their ledgers, their things that could be used against them as far as getting leverage in business dealings and such. And some of it may have been physical and not hacky, but most of it was through hacking to get that information, or at the very least find out where that information was located.
Okay, so this was a job to steal sensitive information. From OmniTrust. Okay.
Yep.
So 30. All right. And you were crucial to this because as the hacker, you're the one that could get in their systems and get the information from their databases. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So Savannah, you'd be next with Choke. Was Choke involved in this mission?
As much as I want to be involved in everyone's business, I don't imagine Choke is the first choice for something like that. I think if you are like having to like go in, maybe like in a bodyguard fashion, but I don't think she's the one they call for for the more sensitive things.
A quiet job. Maybe not the person you wanted to be on that
I
job.
have one pistol that has a silencer on it, but I don't know if that's enough for her to be hired on something like that.
Sure. But that's totally fair. So not involved, Choke. Next would be Impulse. Sid.
Trying to think. So this was a job against Soma?
Against Omni.
Against OmniTrust.
Yeah, trying to steal sensitive information from the OmniTrust, the insurance conglomerate for cyber tech and life insurance.
I don't necessarily think that that's Impulse's like network necessarily. I'll say no. I don't. If it was maybe one of the other corps, but I don't know. I don't know if she would necessarily jump in unless there was another draw, I suppose.
Okay.
Not gonna get them clicks in insurance. I'm sorry. So
and then last would be Klaxon. Was Klaxon involved in this?
Oh yeah. So there was a part where there was some sort of, because they're this massive conglomerate, they have some kind of thing that was like keeping Clarity out, and so Klaxon, you know, as a gardener or whatever the truck happened to say that day, he's got a rake, and he reaches in his pocket and he pulls out a little thing about the size of a softball and chucks it aside, and it rolls over to a vent, and it folds out into this little spider, and it undoes the bolts in the vent, and it crawls through, and it's got jamming, so it jams their signal that was keeping Clarity out, and so Clarity then was like, boop, green light, go, and was able to get the info she needed. Is that viable, Morgan?
I would love to just live in GB's brain for like 5 minutes.
If I could just 12 hours, and I could get so much stuff done. Like, it'd be great.
It's really incredible.
If Klaxon isn't involved in every single one of these at this point, I will be shocked.
You must. Every single one.
Fine. I'll work on it.
As the glue that holds this team together. Okay, so OmniTrust will progress one segment, but they are not nearly as aware of you from this job. So, cool. That was do we have a name for this mission? This operation?
Oh man, I'm so bad at coming up with names.
I'm too. It's all right.
Operation Life Insurance.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. Operation Life Insurance. So, killer, choke. What's your job?
Yes.
And who's it against?
I think I'm going to call up Catechism Entertainment.
Catechism. Okay.
I brought them into this world.
I'm gonna take him out.
So I think this is a job that she did for the other entertainment related corporation, IDIS against Catechism. I think it initially started out as some kind of like copyright infringement suit in which IDIS discovered that Catechism was creating some sort of IP that infringed on something they already had, and they tried the lawsuits and they tried the scare tactics and it didn't work, and they sort of exhausted all their other options, and so finally they said, make sure it goes away. And so she went in and probably smashed a bunch of hard drives.
Okay, so you were Claxon, or what am I saying? Catechism was involved in a legal dispute with
IDIS.
Over
something they were putting in a game, some sort of intellectual property.
Okay, and
IDIS
hired
was
you.
like, no, that's ours. They tried a lawsuit. They tried a bunch of other stuff, and Catechism wouldn't back down, so they brought in the big guns. And so I think she probably got in somehow and just destroyed what they had.
Okay.
Because they wouldn't stop it or get rid of it themselves.
All right, so choke hired by IDIS
Mikey Mouse
to destroy some Catechism databases. All right, awesome. So Impulse.
If it's against Catechism, yes, she was involved.
Sure. Awesome. Of course.
So literally just getting you in to crash hard drives.
I mean, I imagine it's not easy to get to those.
No, probably not. Yeah, we'll say she went live and like just exposed the whole freaking like maybe there's some illegal practices involved in how like the legal battle was going awry, and in fact like Catechism like went behind the back and like had like judges in their pockets or something. So she exposed
blackmail.
Yes. Like expose that on live television and like right in the middle of everything there, and that allowed Choke to literally just slip on in when everyone's like freaking out about the big publicity stunt in front of the main building.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Next is Claxon. Were you and how were you involved in this?
Well, I think that I think he'll pass. This sounds like they've got it handled, really.
Okay.
I'll pass on this one.
Okay. Awesome. And don't forget with Impulse to take your +1 link, and then Clarity. Were you involved in this one?
I think Clarity was and used some hacking stuff to cover up their tracks. Made sure that there was no video footage of Choke busting up the facility after the fact, making sure that it was relatively clean and they couldn't trace it back to them super easily.
All right, so Clarity on cleanup at the end of that. All right, so breaking into the thanks for the follow, Zadark. So breaking into the Catechism facility. Impulse providing some distractions and some sort of smoke screens. Choke gets in, smashes shit up. Clarity wipes the surveillance footage, make sure clean up. Nothing can
Can't
get
prove I did
traced
it.
back. Cool. Awesome. What's the name of this operation?
Oh no.
This is not a mechanic of this game, but I've ever since we got
It
Operation
is now.
Splat Mountain, we're gonna have to name all these. I was thinking like Operation Smash and Grab.
Operation Super Smash.
Super Smash, all right. Operation Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. All right, so Operation Super Smash, and then
If you leave Choke in charge of naming things, that's what you're gonna get.
They all have the word Smash in them for
They
some
all are
reason.
Smash in them. Some of them don't have Smash, but Smash has been replaced with Shoot.
Okay. Operation Shoot Smash. All right, so last will be Impulse. Now, and this is where you get your choice, and because we've kind of built it up, you have got, I'll take us over the clocks again. You can see we've got 3 corporations that have been picked and targeted at this point. 2 of them are at 1800, so just on the edge of crossing over into the no territory, and which is what the technical term for it is. No, it's not. And we have 2 that haven't been touched, Ares, Aegis, and Soma. So we have the option. If you pick Ares, Aegis, and Soma, odds are you guys won't start off too hot water with any of them, or you can start off with a clean slate with those 2 corporations and really screw yourself over with one of them.
I have to screw Catechism, which I know is going to get us in really hot water. If
Love
the
it.
group is okay with this, I have a really good thing that I came up with. Yeah, we're okay with getting hunted. All right, we're doing it. Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna you choosing them this time does up them to 2100,
Okay.
which means they are looking for
Very
you.
aware.
Well,
Okay.
they're aware of you. They are not hunting you at this point. They are, but they're not friendly with you.
Good. Okay, so Impulse ended up sort of cornering and badgering info out of the nephew of the COO of Catechism. Basically tricked him out of the location of one of her personal safes, which as part of the operation got broken into, and that ended up releasing a bunch of very damning documents about the fact that Catechism knowingly used a lot of faulty, basically VR headsets that caused a lot of major health problems for many, many, many people. This job was for Omnitrust, by the way, so the insurance companies were pissed off about all these claims that were coming through, so they wanted to screw over Catechism. And she did it under the guise of Catechism was putting on a big, they're trying to get in on IDIS's pay-per-view stuff. So they were doing a big battle royale on Valentine's Day, because 200 years from now, Valentine's Day is not what we think of it now at all.
I have to add that now. So Valentine's Day is now a blood sport?
Yes, Valentine's Day is now a blood sport.
All right, I'm adding that. You can guarantee this game's going to start sometime around Valentine's Day now. Okay, cool. So breaking into a catechism facility to steal compromising information on faulty VR headsets that were causing injuries. Cool. So we're going to go around the list. GB with Klaxon. Was Klaxon involved in this mission?
I mean, that puts us into like, right?
If the 3 of you pick, we'll be at midnight, and they are hunting your asses at this point. So.
You don't have to. It's okay. You don't have to.
We're pretty clear that I'm about 10% sure Choke is going to be involved in this mission.
Yeah.
No.
So.
So let me redo the mechanics here. So I should have down currently, I should have links with choke, impulse, and clarity. Right? Because they were in my
You would
mission.
not have you would not have one from me yet.
Yeah, you don't
you
have
only
one.
get one when you only, if I'm thinking this right, you only get one if you are a part of someone else's mission.
Yes.
So
Is that right? Okay.
So the only one I'm in right now is Clarity's.
You were part of Chokes too, I thought. Were you not?
So yeah, you both add one. So if Choke was part of your mission, you both add one, and if you're part of Choke's mission, you both add one, right?
No, you only.
No.
Hold on, let
So
me
you
check.
only add one if you insert yourself into someone
Okay.
else's thing. So like
Oh,
for
hold on.
yours,
I
GB,
might have.
I
done-
have
yeah.
one for you.
Okay.
The player to your left will tell you how their character was involved in that job. They take +1 links. Oh, okay. Hold on. No, we had this wrong. I'm so sorry. The first mission was Claxon's mission. Claxon, you should have a link with Choke and Impulse.
Okay.
Okay.
The second
So if
mission
people
was
put themselves
Clarity's
in
mission.
your story,
Yeah.
Then you get a link.
then you
Yeah,
get a link.
Clarity, your mission, you have a link with Claxon. Yeah, I was doing this backwards. And then Choke, you should have a link with Impulse and
Impulse
Clarity.
and clarity. Okay.
And now
Got
we are
it.
doing Impulses. GB, you gotta decide whether you're into it, whether you're in this mission. If you are,
If I
then-
have no links, I totally understand, and it's okay, friends.
Well, I have faith that you are correct, dear game master. That Choke will be involved, so I'll let it slide.
Okay. So Impulse or Claxon was not involved in Impulse's mission. Okay. Now Clarity, were you involved in this operation?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay. And then last is Choke.
Pay-per-view battle royale, you say?
Indeed. Were you participating, perhaps?
I feel like I was. I don't know. Did you need somebody on TV maybe causing a lot of ruckus and a major distraction?
Yeah,
So they weren't paying attention to the other stuff that was going on? Because if you needed someone to punch people hard
Did you
Done.
throw the
on
fight
TV,
to like stir up drama? Like
I'm
an
caught
easy fight
between-
that you actually like suffered through more or something, or like made it a lot closer so people were paying attention.
Drew
to
it
that?
out a little
Drew
bit
it out.
longer.
I'm caught between did I draw out an easy fight or did I cause a lot of drama? Now this is turning into like less boxing and more like wrestling, which I'm into. So I'm kind of torn between like drawing out an easy fight or like causing a bunch of drama in a like more scripted match that was supposed to go
Uh-huh.
a certain way but then like went off book and like acted a little crazy, like, oh, I'm supposed to lose this for your, you know, big TV corporation or whatever for your ratings, but I'm not going to do that because I'm a better fighter than all of you, and then punched a bunch of people.
Okay.
I love it.
So maybe you were hired by Cataclysm. God, I'm gonna keep saying Cataclysm. You were hired by Cataclysm to throw the fight, and you did it, and knowing that like those people would then be pulled to like would be paying attention to it.
Yeah, to
giving
essentially
Impulse
like
their
draw
opening.
a bunch of attention.
Cool. Love it. That'll advance the clock one more time. Which will put us further into the no-no zone.
You can't call it
I
that.
can't call it that. I know. All right. All right.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
Amazing.
I love it.
So the what is this operation called? Sid.
Operation My Bloody Valentine.
Love it. All right. I can't spell. All right. So we've got our 4 missions there. I'm going to pop us over to the clocks here so everyone can see. That's... Oh, boy. It's not scrolling super well. There we go. So as we can see, Omnitrust clock, we are at 1500. Idis, we're at a healthy 1800. Ares, Aegis, and Soma, we have not fucked with at this point. And Catechism, the one that I won't be able to say the name of at any point, is not too happy with you. Very nice. So that's where we're going to be starting out the game with these clocks the way they are. Catechism probably isn't going to be the one hiring you for a job just yet. We'll see. Or they maybe hire you and then try to stab you in the back or something. We'll look and see how that goes. So let's talk a little bit. So that's the end of like character building, the session prep stuff. We've got about 10 minutes left. And I want to open this up to any questions that you guys have about gameplay. Anything you guys want to go over, anything that's like, I've seen this come up a couple of times. What does this mean? Is there anything you guys want to talk about?
I have a standard move called Gather Evidence to break. It's about breaking a story.
Okay.
So it has an additional clock, which is the story clock.
Oh.
So yeah, I'm not 100% how that would work. Would I keep track of that, or?
I mean, I'll probably put a clock on the thing, which do.
And I guess it wouldn't necessarily be all the time. Like if I'm done with a story, then I might not pick up a new story.
Which one? This is gather evidence. You're looking
Gather
at?
evidence, yeah.
Okay, so when you gather evidence, break a story, roll mind. You can see advance story clock. Huh. I need to look up how the story clock works, guys. I'm gonna add that then, because it probably works like the others, where. Yeah. So okay. So it says, gather evidence, speak to your hand. Blah, blah, blah. If the story clock reaches midnight before the noise clock, the reporter has broken the story before the implicated parties could cover up the evidence or stop the investigation. The exact implications of this for the game will vary based on the story, but should have major impact on the implicated parties and will affect at least one corporate clock. If the noise clock reaches midnight before the story clock, the implicated parties have tied up all loose ends of the story is dead. Now the damage control is complete. They can deal with the reporter permanently, advance any relevant corporate or threat clock. So essentially I need to add 2 more clocks, which is one is going to be the story clock and the noise clock. And when you make those moves, you will advance one to the other based on whatever story it is you're trying to pursue. I guess the only thing that might get into it is like if you're trying to do more than one story at a time that you're investigating, then we might need to have more clocks.
I think I can really, because there's another part. It's like knows for a story. I think I can only do like one story per mission.
Okay.
So if I wanted to change the story, like I could put one aside and start a new one, I guess. But I can only like do one at a time.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So at the start of the mission, I'd roll edge and I'd get 3 hold. 1 hold.
So it essentially sounds like you have always had this alternative goal every time you have a mission. It's like you're trying to break a story. Okay, cool. I'll look up more and make sure there's nothing else to it, because you guys can also hear the legwork and the action clocks are the 2 big ones that you guys will be dealing with throughout the game. Every time we get a new mission, you guys will be we'll enter the legwork phase where there are certain things that you guys need to accomplish during that. I'll backtrack it a little bit. So when I give you guys a mission, I'm going to tell you guys exactly what you have to do to accomplish that mission. Usually it's broken up into 3 steps. I'm actually going to pull this up real quick. I think I can cover these pretty quickly. 4 phases. So an example of this, I'll give you a mission that'll say something like, the mission is the hostile extraction, the kidnapping of a corporate manager. After the characters get the job, the MC reveals the mission directives, and I will actually tell you guys these directives. When you accept the mission, mark experience. So that'll always be the first one. If you accept the mission you're given, you're going to mark experience. When you decide when and where to take blank, or to do this or whatever you're setting up, if it's an assassination, where and when to kill this person, or if it's stealing something, where and when to steal this thing, or a kidnapping, where and when to take this person, you're going to mark experience. When you decide that, when you complete the extraction, when you finally do the thing, you mark experience, and when the mission ends, you mark 2 experience. So you can always gain 5 experience for a mission, and you get the experience when the mission ends, not necessarily when you succeeded on it. So even if you fail at doing whatever you did, you still get the experience at the end. You just might not get paid. It's always broken up into legwork phase and action phase. The legwork phase, when you guys are doing that second goal, when you decide where and when to do the thing. And there are moves that you guys can take and you'll be doing to gather information. If you fail in those moves, usually it calls for me to advance the legwork clock. It's going to get worse and worse. If it gets bad enough, the corporation, whoever you're doing the job against, knows you're coming. They're going to be better prepared. When you guys move to the action phase, that clock is going to be further along based on how much time and how much you screwed up during the legwork. So once we get to the action stuff, wherever that's progressed to, things may be bad, maybe okay, depends on where you guys were at. And if the action phase ever gets to midnight, they're sending in everyone after you. They've completely locked down. Whatever it is probably isn't going to happen. You gotta bug out. That is kind of the general breakdown of a job. I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to do for the most part. There are going to be some hiccups. There's always going to be a twist or something. The person you assassinate you're sent to assassinate might have a body double. You might have to do the legwork to figure that out. Otherwise, you kill the wrong person and you didn't succeed on the job. So there might be a twist. Probably the first couple of missions I'm going to be easy on you with. But later on, they make it kind of complicated, and it makes the legwork phase even more critical to do. And then the other thing I'll describe, because we're running a long time, at the beginning of every mission, you guys all decide to stake cred in order to do that mission. So you roll to get the job. One of you is going to have to roll to get the job, and then you all stake cred on that job. Based on how well you succeed is how much cred you get back. If you do well enough, you could get 2 times, 3 times the amount of cred that you staked on the mission, which you can use to buy more things. So it's very clear-cut reward mechanism that is there. I'm going to remember what it is next time. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but yeah, that's basically how it works. And then that's pretty much how the game works. And then we'll have other narrative stuff that'll get roped in, and other corporations that are going to be mad at you, and they're going to come after you, and all that sort of fun stuff. Does anybody else have any questions or anything before we call it? Yeah, Savannah.
Mine's less of a question and more of a clarification, but I was wondering if we could just talk really briefly about harm and healing, but mostly harm, because this is one of the ones that has a harm move, which I don't think any of us have ever really dealt with. So
so this game has a harm move. So when you get hit by something, you take harm. That harm ranges anywhere to from 0 harm or S harm to, I mean, most reasonably, it's going to be like 3 harm or so. It's probably going to be your biggest hits. When you take any amount of harm, including 0 harm, so if you got hit with 2 and you had 2 armor and you reduced it to 0 because you're a big badass, you still took 0 harm. Which can do things, because that is like you still got hit, something happened to you. I think Monster of the Week has this mechanic, but we've never used it before. But the
it's way less fleshed out mechanically than this is.
Yeah. When you take harm, you fill the segments in 0 to more, and then you will roll plus the the number of the harm you suffered. If you roll poorly, that's good. If you miss, if you roll 6 or less, nothing happens. You're awesome. If you roll 7 and 9, something kind of middling will happen to you. I'll pick one thing from this list. There's a move on under the basic moves on the channel for those of you that can see it. Something like you lose your footing, you lose your grip on whatever you're holding. I can make you drop something. I can make you fall. I can make you stumble, lose track of something. They're pretty narrative. Nothing's going to hurt you too bad. If you roll a 10 plus, things go really bad for your character. You're out of action, like you've been knocked out. If I hit you with something, even if it's 0 harm, if stun harm, and you roll a 10, I could knock you unconscious, and you're out for the rest of that fight. Which fights move pretty quickly in this game. Or you take the full harm of the attack, and you take an additional harm on top of it. Or you lose a piece of cyberware until it's repaired, which is why the repairing option is good to have for cyberware. Or you lose a body part, which is going to happen in this game because you guys have access to cyberware. And so losing an arm isn't as big of a deal as it is in other games. So that's a very real threat. I don't want to get into body horror and stuff in this game because that makes people uncomfortable. But it's something that might happen. You might lose a finger. You might have an eye gouged out, something like that. And we'll talk about that a little bit. Like I said, we're about to go over time, so I don't want to like get into too much things. It sounds from the way you guys have talked and the way we've kind of done things that the tone of the game is going to be action-packed, goofy sort of romp. I'm still going to be cyberpunk, so it's going to be a little dark and dirty and grimy, and things are going to be bad, but I don't want to depress you guys with this game. I'm not going to make it like super grimdark the whole time. I want you guys to have fun and joke around and deal with fighting Mickey Mouse or whatever it might end up being. So that's the kind of way I want to go.
Your souls are forfeit.
And that's kind of what I want to go for. I want to have laughs. Last time I ran a Son of Cyberpunk game, that's kind of where we ended up. And I really like that because it gives us a good way to sort of unwind at the end of the week instead of being super bummed going into the weekend. So if that sounds good with you guys, then that's the way I want to go. We have our lines and veils in the chat there and on Roll20. We're not going to go over this as a stream because you guys aren't contributing to this. So you can just agree with the lines and veils we've set up. But we're gonna keep things following those guidelines, and that's the kind of tone I want to go with. If you guys feel differently about it, if somebody's like, oh, I want there to be more action and drama and melodrama and that sort of thing, then we can do that. And I'm gonna kind of feel it out where you guys are coming from, and the game will shift based on the choices you make. So well, we are at 11 o'clock, so I want to wrap this up. Any last parting thoughts from my lovely cast of characters before we get going? No? Awesome. You guys have been awesome for the session 0. I am so glad how much you guys participated and like how much you guys brought to the table, either in preparing ahead of time with some very cool stuff, or just like coming up with some really awesome things on the fly. I think this group that we brought together here is going to work really well for that. I'm very much looking forward to the kind of stories that we get to tell in the weeks to come. So we will be back next week, same time, same place, to do our very first mission and roll some dice. We got a little dice tray for. Hope you guys at home enjoy that. We set that up and hopefully it works. So join us tomorrow for Saturday night's Apocalypse. I'm going to be running that. I'm going to have to rest my voice for the next 24 hours until that happens. Do a lot of talking today. So come hang out. That'll be on next stream. Follow our schedules below. You can see everything that we've got going on over the next weeks to come. Join us for the resurgence of Wild Space on the 23rd. Follow us on Twitter, Twitch, join our Discord, talk with us all sorts of places. We love to talk to y'all. Any last thoughts from any of you guys before we get going? No? Okay. Well, thank you everyone for watching. We will see you in a week, and until next time, good game and good night, Internet.